I like the first cat. The years ago one, the
Yes.
blonde kid, what's his name? Another guy became a host on TV cooking contests or something. Karsten something was one of them.
You have my rotary over here.
No, I have mine right there then. I handed you yours. Yours, mine, and mine. Mine, and ours.
Oh my gracious.
Hello.
Hello,
Hello.
Hi.
how you doing?
Good.
You would think after doing this every week, I'd learn how to do it. I just got ready again.
Does it influence people?
I don't know what the hell is the deal with this.
No signal. Input to check your source.
Oh, I didn't put the
Press
whole.
input. Did you just run over your foot? What did you do to yourself?
I don't know. It's okay. It's great.
Great.
You know that's love. No, it's this thing. I pressed this thing.
No input, that's why.
That's why it's not working.
And everybody can get in on their own with the code, right?
Correct, as long as they use the link. They will come in automatically. Now Stephanie's got to turn her volume down.
Okay, and I'll turn my volume on off as soon as I can.
But you don't want to turn off your mic, right? How do we hear what they're saying if she turns off the volume?
That I have no idea. We've had trouble doing 2 Zoom cameras in one room before. And so what we normally do is we just use one.
Good morning, ladies.
Hello, good morning, or afternoon, wherever you're
Good
at.
morning, good afternoon.
Hi, Elaine.
Now it says it's waiting.
Okay, we have Janet Mikes. Hi, Janet.
Hi, Janet. She's new.
Yeah, I don't think we've ever seen Janet before.
I think she was at a show recently. Or else somebody else told
Can
her.
you turn your volume up there?
My volume is all the way up.
You need somebody else to talk, right?
Yeah.
Somebody talk.
Hello.
Hello,
Hello.
hello.
It's Bernice from California.
What's the weather like there today?
Well, believe it or not, we're having a little rain.
Oh, good.
Yes, we're very happy.
Oh, that's good news. I don't know
Yes,
why.
that's very good news.
Bernice, where are you from, California?
I'm down in Oceanside, or not
Oh.
Oceanside. I'm in Escondido, I should say.
Oh,
I'm at, we live full time in our motorhome, and so we're at the Escondido RV park. So for a while we stayed at our son's house down in Oceanside, but now we're back
Oh.
up in our RV.
Oh, cool.
Yes, very cool.
And hot.
Everybody.
Hello.
Hi, Susan. Okay, we're having our usual technical difficulties.
Yeah,
Well, Steph is.
we suck like any other day.
Hi. Hey, Elaine.
Hey, Elaine.
All right, so, well, everybody's got your patterns, right?
Correct.
Perfect. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna start with this page of your printed pattern.
Can I interrupt you for one
You
second?
may, please.
What time is it? Did you want to wait? Yeah, I can't tell how many people are online, so if you want to double check or wait.
I can double check. Oh, shoot.
There's
Hi,
19,
everybody.
there's 19 people on, including you guys.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. You can see it.
Okay. All right, so we're gonna start with this page here of the pattern pieces. All right, everybody has their fabrics all gathered up and everything. Now you can cut these all apart at once, which is what G did. Or if you're like me and you'll lose them because, well, that's just how I roll. You can just cut out one piece at a time. So I'm gonna go ahead and we're gonna start with this large piece down here in the front.
3 red.
All right, it says 3 red and then it's got 3 smaller pieces on it. So that's the piece we're gonna start out with. So make sure you cut on the outside of the dotted line, okay? We want that dotted line included in what you're gonna be using. So we're gonna just cut. Now I'm using my rotary cutter, but you can use a pair of scissors. If you like.
Her blade.
I'm dulling my blade, G says.
That's beautiful.
She would never do this.
No, I actually have a separate rotary.
That's what I do.
Yeah, see, that's the common thing to do. The common sense thing to do.
Use your rotary cutter.
You have a special one for your page.
Oh, listen, that's too much fun.
Use
your
your
blade. So there's that. All right. So once you have that cut out, now did everybody get a glue stick? It can be just a regular Elmer's glue stick. It doesn't have to be anything fancy. If you've got one of the sewing glue sticks, you can use that. There's this one. This is the sewing one. I would never have normally have this, but I got it free at a quilt show someplace or another, so that's why I have it. But anyway, so what you're going to do with the glue stick now is, because you're going to start with number 1. So notice all. So you have number 3 here. You have the number 1, the number 2, and then the number 4 here. So we're going to start with number 1, which is black. So I'm going to go to my pile of my black, which she just handed me over here. She's like the what is it, surgical assistant. When I say black, she whips me up a chunk. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually just going to cut a piece.
What'd you draw?
My glue.
Let me get this out of the way so I don't burn your.
I just whipped my glue stick under the table. All right, so I'm just going to cut a piece approximately 1.5 inches wide by 2 inches long, which is overkill, of course, for this little tiny piece. But you want it to be bigger than the area you need to cover, okay? Because you're going to trim it down, and it also has to cover up the area that you need for your seam allowance, okay? So now I'm going to take this paper piece and I'm going to flip it upside down, and you can see the lines through the paper,
Or you could use your light table.
or you can use your light table. And I'm going to take my glue stick and I'm just going to put a little dab of glue on the back where that very first piece is going to be. And I'm going to stick that piece of black fabric to it. Now I can hold this up to the light and be double sure that my, I can hold this up to the light now, and I can be sure that my fabric is covering up that entire number 1 black as it's marked on the pattern piece.
I have a question.
Can you all
Do you
see?
put the fabric right side up or right side down?
I put the
Right side.
fabric right side up, so the right side's facing out.
Got it. Thank you.
You're welcome. I don't know if they can see through the paper or not.
I don't-
Just barely, but not very well.
Maybe we should put light in back.
So anyway, so once you've done that, it's stuck on there. And I said on the instruction sheet to have a piece of, hey, do you see my little yellow gizzy?
No, it's right.
When you say little yellow gizzy.
It's
should
a
it
flat
be-
piece of.
It's a flat plasticky piece of,
I
I found it.
Oh, good, you picked it up. Thank goodness.
I said about having a flat piece of cardboard, like
Or
4x6
plastic.
flat cardboard, you know, flat cardboard like that's in a cereal box or something. I'm using this, which is actually plastic, and you can iron on it at the same time so it doesn't melt. But what you're going to use this for is you actually, and you would do this with your plastic if you don't have one of these. If you did get one of those Clover deals, you can get this. G did put these on the website, so you can order one if you want. But you line this up,
After the
on-
show.
yeah, after the show.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can line this up with the dark solid line here. And then you fold this part back. And you take your add a quarter ruler. If you haven't purchased a yet add a quarter ruler, you can use a regular ruler. The nice thing about the add a quarter ruler is it's got a little ridge there, a little lip, and it just goes right over that. And then you're going to trim off any excess fabric. So now you're going to do that on all the sides of that black piece of, oh, my glue came unglued. Gee, where'd my glue go?
Can I hand it back to you? Here, it's fine. Already.
Was the ruler
Very
on, was the ruler on the solid line or the dotted line?
Solid line. On the solid line. So now I'm going to do the same thing. So now on this next solid line, now this is just a little short one. I'm going to fold my fabric over again,
Paper over.
or yeah, my paper over, and line up my add a quarter ruler and get rid of any excess fabric. And I'm just going to do that around all three because that piece is kind of triangular shape. So I'm going to do that on all three sides to get rid of any of that excess fabric that's hanging over. So there we go. So this is what it looks like. All right, so this is what yours should look like. Once you have that figured out, you're going to get a weird little shape of black fabric there. So now once you've got that, now we're going to flip it back over. The next piece, which is number 2, is going to be red. So I'm going to cut approximately 1.5 inches square of red fabric that's going to be over that number 2. I always cut bigger than what I need, because nothing makes me more mad than getting to that number 2 piece, and I cut it 3/4 of an inch, and guess what? It doesn't quite fit, including my seam allowances. So that would make me so mad. And somebody had sent a question earlier in the week, and I had asked what kind of paper I use. There are regular papers you can buy, like Carol Doak makes one that is regular paper. It's real thin, almost like tissue paper type stuff. It's real thin stuff that you can run through your printer and works for paper piece. I use regular printer paper is what I use. And the reason being is if you screw up, and none of us would ever do that. But if you would happen to have that once in a lifetime mistake happen to you, well, you can't re-sew that paper. Once you sew through it once, that's it. You're not sewing it again. So for me, that's just not a very practical use, because I screw everything up multiple times generally. Okay. So this time, now I'm ready to do number 2. And I'm going to line this up. So I'm going to take my 1.5 inch square of fabric, and I'm going to lay it over this diagonal seam here on kind of facing towards the front angle. All right. And that's the seam that I'm going to sew. Now, I haven't even turned my sewing machine on yet or thread my needle. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now. Now, before you begin sewing that line, you should change your stitch length. Okay? Stitch length is going to go down to 1. All right, so that's a teeny tiny little stitch. Wait, and then somebody trying to say something.
You know, you can be in a pissy mood. I can be in a pissy mood.
Okay, right side up or wrong side up?
You're going to put this face right side down on top of the black.
Steph, I'm sorry, I'm late. I cut this one out.
So
I cut this one out.
On your picture. I mean, I think
Uh,
that is.
And do I cut it on the dotted line?
Dropping out here.
Okay.
Just outside the dotted line,
Just
Margot.
outside the dotted line, okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Your assistant cleared that up.
Oh, good. All right. So I can't see you at all now
Okay.
because when I have my device on and Dave's device is on taping, it uses too much bandwidth, and then, well,
Okay,
it doesn't work. So if I can hear you,
That wasn't me, by the way. I know how to paper piece, so I'm just watching.
no, that was me, that was Karen Hart, I'm sorry.
it's okay.
That little tiny piece of black is the first thing that you put on?
That's right. So you're going to put your number 1 piece on, you're going to use your glue stick, and you're going to glue it on the wrong side of the paper, so the part without the printing.
So it just has to cover that, right?
You want it to cover it, and it has to hang over 1/4 of an inch past on
Okay.
all sides.
Okey doke, thank you.
You're welcome. So now I've cut my second piece. So my first red piece, which is number 2, and I'm going to lay that red piece, that 1.5 inch square, right side down on top of the black on this angle, this short angle here. I've threaded my needle now. I'm going to turn my machine on, and I'm going to turn my stitch length to 1. So it's going to be a very, very tiny, short little stitch length. And what that's gonna do for me is it's gonna perforate this paper so that it comes out really, really, really easy, okay? We are not going to backstitch at all. Because if you need to get any stitches out, you'll never be able to get them out. So when you start this stitch, what I'm gonna do, and I don't know if Dave can get a picture of this or not, but I'm actually gonna start about 1/4 of an inch before the line, because I'm gonna stitch. Can they see this here, Dave?
They can.
Okay, good. I'm actually, let me get a pen so I can show them. I'm actually going to start about 1/4 of an inch here before, and I'm gonna stop 1/4 of an inch after, but I'm gonna actually stitch this line here. All right. So we're gonna start 1/4 inch before and 1/4 of an inch after. All right. And we're gonna sew right on that line. And this is part of the reason I love paper piecing. It's because it's perfect every time.
Fucking crazy.
I mean, unless you screw up and put the wrong color where you shouldn't, or, you know.
Don't have them facing each other.
Oh my goodness.
I've had them all. So.
You know, nothing would be normal if things just went right. Well, I had my sewing machine foot tangled underneath my sewing chair. Now ask me how that happened. Because I couldn't tell you how I managed that, but I sure did. All right, now go ahead and cut your threads. You're going to trim all your threads at the same time. Otherwise, you'll have a big fat mess. All right, so now you can see the seam allowance there. So again, what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip this over so I'm looking at the printing. I'm going to take my little flat edge surface, so your cardboard or whatever you have that you're using as your straight edge. I'm going to fold my paper over that. I'm going to take my add 1/4. Again, I'm going to make sure that I don't, that none of my red stuck past, which I only had a little tiny tail there. Now I'm going to finger press. Now I'm a big finger presser. So I'm going to finger press this piece of red. All right, just like this. Before I go, you've got to be kidding.
Not my fault over here. Let me press this for you.
Here, G's going to press this for me. The last time I let her press something for me, it didn't hurt.
Make sure there's no cord under it.
I had to redo it. Lay it down, right side down. And I'm going to again go over all the edges. And I'm going to lay my flat edge up against the solid lines. And see how I just pulled that down through the paper? That's fine. You want to be able to pull this because I want to trim off any excess. And then this side. All right, so now this is what this looks like. All right, so now we're going to move on to the third piece, which is the large piece. So this big red piece of fabric. So all I'm going to kind of do is I'm going to say, okay, this is approximately 7 inches long and 4 inches wide. So that's, I'm gonna cut my piece probably 8 by 4.5.
Steph, excuse me, could you show after this, the second, when you add on the red, can you show that again? Did you trim 2 different places on that?
I sure did. So when I cut this initially, when I did the first piece, so this solid line right here where it lines up against this number 4 background piece,
Right.
where I'm gonna lay down my my straight edge, your cardboard or whatever you're using. You're gonna fold that over. Now there is a stitched line right here. You're gonna want to pull that loose. It's gonna tear your paper a little bit or whatever right there. It's okay. You want to make sure you tear it loose so that the fabric comes down flat. And you're gonna trim that. You're gonna put your add a quarter ruler up here, and you're gonna trim that to 1/4 inch. Okay, so you're gonna lay this on top, trim this. Then you're also going to turn this this direction and this line right here.
Okay, that's the one I missed.
Yep, that's the one. You're gonna lay that one on here. You're gonna flip this back. Again, see this right here? It will be attached because you sewed through it. You're gonna pull it down, make sure your fabric lays flat, and lay your ruler right up against, and then trim that down also.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So I'm going to go ahead and cut another piece of fabric, and I'm going to cut it about 8 inches by 4.5 inches. Okay, and it doesn't have to be perfect. If it's around in that neighborhood, it'll be close enough. All right. Where did I put my rotary cutter? This one automatically closes itself, G. Good. She's always trying to be sure I'm safe because I'm never very safe. All right, so now I'm back to the wrong side of the paper. And I'm going to take this large piece that I just cut, the 4.5 by approximately 8 inch fabric, and I'm going to line it up along the edge of the black and the red here. And I'm going to make sure that about, I don't know, a 1/4 inch-ish hangs over the bottom edge there. See this right here? Hanging over about a 1/4 inch. I'm going to leave that hang over, and then I'm going to flip the paper over, and I'm going to sew from up here. Let me get my pen again. I'm going to sew from up here about a 1/4 inch into this area, and I'm going to sew down this line down to about down to the bottom of that black dotted line. Okay. So then I'm going to leave for the whole project. My stitch length is going to remain on 1. All right, pull that out, trim off my threads.
Having trouble getting mine laid where it's covering up where it's supposed to go.
You can't get yours to cover up where it's covering up what it's supposed to?
If I put it down and I flip it over to check to make sure it's all covered up, I'm going the wrong direction somehow.
So you want to make sure when you have it pulled
I
back.
did the wrong thing too.
Well, shit, so did I.
I don't feel so bad then.
I'm on
That
cell,
makes me
girls.
feel good.
Makes me feel wonderful. Not, nothing, not wishing you bad luck.
Honey, it's unbelievable.
Well, it happens.
Every day.
And see, if you were using that Carol Dove paper, you'd be reprinting right now.
Well, I never got to the sewing part.
On any of it?
I got 1 and 2 on, but I can't get 3 laid on here right for some reason. Maybe I could.
I started late, so I missed 1 and 2. So I guess, are you going to do the next one from the beginning? It's always starting it that's a problem for me.
If you pin it on, lay it up there and then pin it like on the sewing line. And then when you flip it, you can see whether that's right or not.
But when I flip, I'm not in the right spot, and I keep moving it, and I'm still not hitting the right spot for some reason.
You have to move it the opposite way you think you do.
I have to think backwards.
That's right.
I'm gonna cut bigger pieces next time.
Cutting big is good. What I also do, I don't know if it's helpful, is if I fold it back on the line that I want to sew and have the fab, so that's the printed side, but if I fold back and then lay the fabric in behind, you can see when it's good, how it's going to lay.
You're not in front of the camera.
Okay, here we go. There we go. So I place my fabrics right sides together on the back, but I fold over on that line that we trimmed. I fold that, let me see. And I line that fabric, the second fabric on top. Now, what you see on the paper side, then it's like this is flipped over backwards, but you can see if it fits within that shape. Then when you open it back out to sew it, it's going to be at a funny angle because that is an angle, but it's going to be the opposite angle. This is a hard thing to do. This is like you need to be side by side. It's really challenging.
Was there pressing between 1 and 2?
Always.
Yes, always
Finger.
pressing between.
The
So I
finger
would-
press.
My bird might have a hole in him.
I always press between.
So the red should be out or open.
The red should be facing the outside. Well, now the red should be facing the. It should be right sides together, just like you would normally sew. So I just sewed this, and now I got. So when you sew these 2 pieces, you need to be a 1/4 of an inch. Okay, hold on so I can flip this darn thing over.
And Margot, if you're still with us, in theory, there should be a link that she can send you where you can watch this over again.
Yes. Okay. So see this, now this is the wrong side of my paper. And you can see here how I have my thing lined up. So here's the bottom of my black. So my red fabric is lined up with the bottom of my black fabric. And the top of my red fabric is actually hanging over the top of my paper pattern there. And then when I put this, it covers this whole thing. You did it ass backwards.
So, but I just want to make sure before I ripped it out.
It's okay, G. I did mine wrong the first time too. So now you have this look. So now what you're going to do, now I go back in because then this darn piece of fabric is floppy all over the place. And when it's floppy, then it's hard for me to keep track and make sure that the angle's down where it is. So I again, and I don't go crazy, but I go out there and I just put a little bit so that I can kind of fasten that down. I give it a little press before I go to do the next set of trimming. Because if I don't, sometimes I get trimmed at the wrong angle and then I don't leave myself enough. Okay, so now that I've done that, now I can lay my add a quarter ruler because I don't need to fold anything back. So I'm just going to add my add a quarter ruler, and I can trim off right at the dotted line. And I don't even really put the dotted line. I line up that lip on the 1/4 inch lip there with the solid line, and I just trim off this extra. And get it the heck out of my way.
You're going all the way around.
I'm going all the way around.
1/4 inch from the solid line.
1/4 inch from the solid line, yep. And then I do have one more piece left to do because I have to put a piece of the background fabric up here. So I am going to break out my cardboard, or in my case, this piece of plastic here, and put it against that solid line there up in the corner. I can pull that down. Now I can trim that off at 1/4 inch.
If my 1/4 inch is not measuring right to the dotted line, did I mess up or?
No, it could be just the printer, whatever.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, just measure 1/4 inch past the solid line. You'll be good.
Thank you.
Now I have this little corner here is all that's left. And I have picked out some little cream colored bubbles. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go on up here and I'm going to measure and say, okay, so if I cut a, say, 2.5 inch square, that's going to be plenty big enough to cover this little corner here. So I'm going to go ahead and cut a 2.5 inch square of this background fabric. And that's what I'm going to use. So even when I buy a paper piece pattern from someone else, and sometimes they'll put, say, cut this, cut that. I never follow anybody's cutting instructions because I'd rather be sure that I have plenty of extra fabric, because I don't want to have to sew it 2 or 3 times.
But sometimes we do.
We do. And sometimes they ask for such, they give you no extra wiggle room. And I mean,
You can always use more fabric too. I mean, Riley, you want out? Come on.
so there's that.
So you folded back the 4 triangle, the background, and folded it back and cut off that red that was underneath it, right?
Yep. Yep. I have to get a scoop of water here. Okay, now that I've got my background fabric picked here, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to lay my background fabric right up against the edge here. Line it right up, just like I would if I was piecing. I've got my little corner hanging over on both sides. I'm going to flip my fabric over and I'm going to stitch on that line between the number 3 and the number 4, that diagonal line. and I want to start way out in that seam allowance.
Somehow I ended up with the very first red piece is not all the way over a 1/4 inch. So can I just take like super duper teeny tiny stitches right there? You can't see my screen or I'd show it to you. Can anybody see me?
Yeah.
Is it over some?
Can anybody see it? It looks like it's a bite taken out of it.
Will it fit?
Try show us again.
It's got, looks like a little, the very first red piece is not all the way over to the edge somehow. I don't know how that happened.
I
It
had
should
that
be
happen.
fine.
I just like short my seam length real little right there.
I know. I had one where I did that. That happened to me too. I don't know whether I cut an angle wrong once or what. So
I am not surprised. How big did you cut your background square, Steph?
I cut my background square 2.5 inches.
Okay, I might make mine 4.
If
Make
you're
2 birds
worried,
at once.
cut it a little bigger.
I'm going to, thank you. I'm really not going 4, but I am going to go 3.
Hey, better to be safe than sorry.
I'll be happy to waste a little bit of fabric than to have to remake it.
Well, you'll never guess what I did. My fabric was plenty big, but I didn't, I folded my fabric end over when I was stitching and had it fold my fabric folded over.
Oh,
So
no.
I had to unstitch the end because I sewed it in half. That's no fun.
Nope, I bet not.
But it happens. I did it again. Twice in a row.
I quit. I can't see.
Okay.
This is really a bummer.
Would the world come to an end if I move over beyond the line just a little bit to catch some?
Yes.
No world's gonna come to an end, I promise.
So can I make that seam, that part of that bird have the seam not exactly in the right place and have more background?
Yeah,
Yes.
Thank you.
It'll be fine.
I'm gonna move over a couple ticks.
All right, let's see.
Third time, or do we get it right?
I got it this time, Dave. Good gosh.
Don't tell me I'm gonna have to start giving paper piece in class.
That's it. You're gonna have to.
They're in trouble now.
Oh, sakes.
Nice finger press.
Nice finger press. Everybody likes a good finger press. So there we go. So now we've got a nice finger press. And I'm gonna give another little press over here, iron. All right, so now again, I'm gonna trim off the excess of this background fabric. Well, gee, you can answer questions maybe from over there.
But I don't have, I'm not on. Hold on, let me get on. Let me go to Facebook. No, don't go to Facebook.
There we go. Piece 1. Somebody's excited.
Okay, was success.
Look at that bow.
Who was that?
Me, the crazy
Me,
lady.
Kathy. I'm
At
adding
this
it to
point, are we putting it out on the dotted line?
Something about the dotted line.
Are we cutting on the dotted line right now?
You're gonna measure out 1/4 of an inch past the solid outside line.
Okay.
Because some of the dotted lines are less or more than 1/4 of an inch.
Right, so it's just best to measure out 1/4 of an inch.
But I'm trying to figure out what part of the bird this is.
This is the body of the bird. That is a bird body.
So is the background upper right?
This is the bottom left. So if you
Oh,
look at
okay, but I'm extremely confused if the background is bottom left.
This is the piece you just
Face
cut.
the wrong way.
No.
Good. You got feedback over there? So that's the piece you just cut. Can't have feedback unless there's another device.
Was my iron beeping?
Yeah.
Sorry.
There we go. So now we're gonna go ahead and with the next piece. So this next piece here is this one, and it's only has 2 pieces to it, so it will be easier. And it is the background and a red piece. This is the tail to the bird. Is everybody, are we all on the same page here?
No, but that's okay.
No, I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna wait.
Are our birds going to be facing the opposite direction of the birds in the printout you sent us?
That was my question, because it looks like it's gonna be upside down now.
Let me find my page. Yes,
Yes, ultimate.
it will be backwards.
Thank you so much.
Because in the EQ software, that this was made from, it doesn't flip it. Even though when you paper piece, you build on the back side of the paper, it doesn't flip it, the image. It just doesn't.
Birds are going to be looking to the left.
Yes, so there, I laid our sample out here on the front of the table. And that way, because my birds are going the opposite
It
way.
is tremendously helpful. If not, I had just messed up big time.
Yeah,
I didn't
no,
even notice that. Good. Yes. There we go.
yeah, you didn't mess up, I promise.
Thank you.
It's just the way it is.
I feel much better.
You all let me know when everybody's caught up, okay?
Steph, which block are we cutting out now?
So the next one is going to be on that same page, but it will be this triangle piece. It only has 2 pieces. It says background 1, red 2.
Well, I guess I'm not watching my Zoom thing anymore. Nanny can't watch her class.
Did you say how big pieces?
Let me tell Peggy I'm not in class.
I don't think so.
It has 2 pieces.
Wait, is this going on right now?
Can you see that right there? 1 background, 2 red.
Right.
That's the piece she's working on.
Did she say how big she cut the pieces?
No,
not yet.
I was waiting for everybody to get done.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, so you guys go ahead and finish. That way we're all on the same page. Oh, yes, we have, don't forget about our retreat. We have a couple ladies already sent in their stuff. They're interested. G and I were talking about it this morning. We're excited. We're getting ready to start working on the quilts and picking fabric for the quilts.
Games.
Yes, so we're excited about it. I wish this darn COVID crap would get over.
Amen.
We got to get back to business, you know, of sewing.
Well, not just, yeah, that, but it would be nice.
Living.
Yeah, it would be nice to be able, you know, we're very limited because of COVID, where we could have a much bigger event if it wasn't for that. But they've got us, you know, they've got us, our hands tied. So, but I think we're going to end up all together with everything for, it will be with the kit for the quilt, the food, the rooms. If you wanted a private room, even private cabin, it will be $450-ish, and that's Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday night, leave Sunday afternoon.
Wow.
You think that's a terrible price?
No, I think it's an awesome price.
That includes your quilt kit.
That's
Wow.
That's a great price.
How big is the quilt?
That's a great price.
Yeah.
And it includes 8 meals.
Oh yeah.
And
So now that's for private. Now, if you don't mind sharing with two other ladies, so you would share one bathroom, you know, 2 other ladies in your, you know, in your cabin, and it would be $399.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Approximately, give or take.
Including your kit,
But that includes
your
your
hotel, everything.
Your everything, yeah.
Usually you have to pay extra for the room and the food.
Yeah. How big is the quilt?
We're it's gonna come in around queen size.
Oh my goodness. Okay. Wow.
Oh my gosh.
Well,
I'm in.
we know what we would want. We also know what we have paid. So we want to make sure to give everybody a value, you know, and we also know, like, some of you who would be working, who aren't working or whatever. And, you know, it is what it is.
We should tell them the dates.
Oh, yeah. The dates we're looking at are like May 13 through 16. So it's right after Mother's Day. Hint, hint.
Good Mother's Day present.
It would be a good Mother's Day gift.
And we'll have gift cards so you can ask for gift cards for the holidays if you know.
You can tell your kids.
Just give
Oh,
me
that's a
gift
great
cards.
idea.
Yeah. You can get a bunch of gift cards from different people and they'll pay for your retreat.
There you go.
My husband will be glad to get rid of me.
I want one for him.
You have make a deal that the men have something to do too. Look, teach them how to quilt.
Will you have extra fabric so if people wanted to buy some for like the backing or the binding?
Yes, we will have stuff like that. Now the binding will come with your kit.
Okay.
But we will have backing available as an add-on.
And maybe special pricing for the quilting if you don't want to quilt
Correct.
it yourself.
Right. I mean, our grand plan is, in theory, you should be able to finish this quilt at retreat.
In theory.
In theory.
Yeah, the top of the quilt. Yeah.
Now, that all depends on how much visiting you like to do.
How much
How much-
drinking you might like to
How
do.
much sleeping you may like to do.
Some people just sew all night. I can't do that anymore, but
So, you know, but it'll be fun. Anyways, so are y'all ready to move on?
Sure.
Steph,
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do that.
Okay,
Steph.
so, yeah. Did somebody have a question?
I don't know. Did somebody have a question or are you just ready to move on?
Can I have a question, but be, aside from this?
Sure.
I filled out that survey online
Yes.
and I got the discount coupon. Is that good on sale items too?
That's a great question.
Are you sure?
No.
It's not our fault.
For me, it's
I am gonna guess it's no, but I can't 100% say that.
See, her question was, now be sure. So the sure answer is no, and if you change it later to a yes, then she's happy.
I have a marketing person who sends those out. If I was a betting woman, I would say no, but I would try it. It'd be worth a try.
okay.
I
Now,
mean,
that's just on Farrell's Country Stitching too, right?
Yeah.
right.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, you're welcome.
Steph, this is
Yeah.
Janet. I did not receive the pattern in the email. Could you resend it?
Yep,
What's your last name, Janet?
Mike's?
Thank you.
Janet Mikes. She's gonna send it to you right now. She's actually gonna send it to you from Notions You Need versus Two Crazy Gals. Some reason Two Crazy Gals likes to get stuck in spam.
My Notions You Need went to spam.
Oh, Notions You Need went to spam too.
I'm spammy. That's all you just.
That's
have to
it,
like
G.
me. You have to just say, yeah, we accept her crap.
She's just a spammy kind of gal. That's all I got.
Yeah, it's coming from Notion.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem, Janet. Okay, so on this second piece here, it's triangular. This one says background piece number 1, so that's what we're starting with. And I'm gonna lay it on here and kind of get a little measurement. So we're gonna go with, I'm gonna go with 4 inches wide. I could really go 3.5, but we'll go 4 just to be on the safe side. And we're gonna go 7 inches long. So 4 by 7, and it's background fabric.
That means I'll go 5 by 8.
There you go.
This will help go through your fabric stash.
There you go.
She has a lot of fabric, she says.
I do. I'll be happy to share.
She said I could come over to her house when someone takes Dusty.
That's right.
That
We'll
I
have
can come to her
fun.
house. She's got enough fabric to share.
Maybe by then I'll know how to paper piece.
Okay, now this is just gonna go under the paper. It's not really gonna be sewn on right away, correct?
That's correct.
So you could just cut a triangle the shape of the paper.
You could.
But if I did that, I wouldn't have enough.
What, you don't have her email, G?
I don't have her under Janet Weeks. There's another name I think that it came in under, and I don't know.
What's your email address, Janet?
jmikes94@yahoo.com.
Mikes.
Okay. J. Mikes.
All right, so now I'm gonna find my glue stick.
Is that okay to use glue stick and not wash it out, or are you gonna have to wash it out?
No, you can use glue stick whenever you do wash it. If you wash it, it's water soluble.
Yeah, but if you don't wash it, will it yellow or anything?
No, I've used it before. a lot.
Okay.
I've never had any issues
Okay.
with it.
And about what stitch length are you using? I know you make it smaller.
1.
Oh, 1. Okay.
So way down. So Janet is gone. Janet, you should have your email. Okay, so now I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna trim along the bottom here 1/4 of an inch out from this line.
You put wrong side of the fabric to the back side of the paper. Is that right?
Yes.
Yep, you've got it.
Shocking.
Oh, great.
All right, so now once I've trimmed that away, now again, I'm gonna use my little yellow thingy.
Wrong side of fabric to the right side of paper? No.
To the wrong side of the paper. Now you're going to take your cardboard and you're going to line it up with that line between the background side and the red side, that line there in between. And you're going to fold back the paper. Now you're at a 1/4 ruler. We'll line up right over there. That little lip will catch on there. And you can trim out that little extra piece of fabric.
And you trimmed around the whole entire piece, correct?
Yep.
I missed that, I'm sorry.
You're okay.
Yeah, I've never done that before. I've only ever done it where you trim on the one line that you're working on.
Well, since since there's no other pieces gonna be connected to this side.
Right. But it also, yeah, makes it neater to work with.
Well, yeah, then you don't have crap hanging all over.
Yeah, no, I like it. Yeah, I like it.
I don't like I've got enough. Look at my area.
I know, and paper piecing makes such a mess.
It is a lot of mess.
Oh, I know.
I just end up with crap every place. So I might, I need to do what I can do to make myself a little neater.
Yeah.
Dave, he's just loving the fact that he can
Well, no,
show up.
I was gonna juxtapose that against these beautiful hats and decorations.
Oh, yeah.
So if you never look down, you just look to the ceiling and back, it's a beautiful sewing room.
It is, as long as you don't ever look down.
And it changes every week.
So we're gonna end up with a blue triangle at this point. Is that correct?
A blue triangle.
You can't see me, right?
I can't see.
A glued triangle.
No, I have a totally blue triangle at this point.
Yes, just one glued triangle, yes.
Can't see you.
Oh, but I need to trim a 1/4 inch from the line between the one background and 2 red.
Yes.
Okay, that's why I have a whole triangle. But
Yep.
I didn't.
Yep, so you should have this. Oops.
Okay, I'm getting ready to.
Okay. So now I'm gonna figure out. So I need a piece 3.5 by 4.5 of red-ish. That's what I'm gonna cut mine. 3.5 by 4.5 to put on this.
And how did you decide that?
So I decided that based on the fact that when I lay this up against this square edge here, up against the square line here on the edge of my mat, and I count down from here. So there's 1 inch, 2 inch, 3 inch, I figure 1.5 inches or 3.5 inches down. And when I'm counting here, I have 1, 2, 3, 4.5 inches this direction. So 3.5 by 4.5 inches square of red fabric is going to cover this space. Now it's going to way more than cover that space. But like I said, I'm going to be able to use these later on, these scraps that are left over from what I've already cut off. I'm going to be able to use these later. So they're not really waste. I'm not really throwing them out.
You don't ever cut a triangle to start with. You always start with a square.
I do.
Works for me.
It's easier to cut.
It's easier to cut because when you try to cut a triangle, you're going to reverse it on yourself. And then you're going to cuss yourself out all the time. You're going to end up with 12 triangles cut the wrong direction.
Exactly.
Plus, if you're doing a block where you're making like 4 or 5 or 6 of the same block, it's easier to cut a whole bunch of rectangles.
That's very true. But if you were making 2 triangles that were identical, could you cut it a little bit big and then you use that one rectangle for the 2 triangles?
Yeah, with what's left.
Right.
Yeah.
I probably didn't ask that correctly.
Yes, but I understood what you meant. Yes.
Thank you.
All our brains work the same way.
I'm glad. So what's the deal on light boxes?
On light box?
Yeah, do we need a light box?
You don't have to have a light box. Sometimes they're nice. I hold mine up, I can pretty well see through my paper well enough. Bless you. Dave just sneezed. I can pretty much see through my paper, but if you have trouble seeing through your paper, being able to see through your paper is what's important for your, placement, your fabric placement, because you need to be able to see those lines.
So somebody who's a non-sewer but loves doing work around the house and woodworking, you need every single possible gadget that you can afford.
I believe it.
So like
my husband.
If you do think that you're going to want a light box on Thursday night, the Halloween party, the Caterpillar girls are coming to the party. So I'm not sure what special they're going to be offering, but they are going to be offering a special on light boxes. I do know that. That's what they call it, right?
And you have a chance to win one.
And you have a chance to win one. That's right.
The grasshoppers. Right?
Yeah, the grasshopper.
And winning one that makes it free is better than paying for it. But if
you're gonna win one, that means you have to have the best Halloween costume.
Well, have you looked at my face?
I think your face is beautiful.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yes, you will definitely not win the scariest contest.
How about the goofiest?
Yeah, the smiliest.
Oh, thank you.
So here we go. So now I've got my second piece cut. So this is my red all cut. So all I'm doing now is I'm going to line it up. I'm going to lay it right side down on top of my white fabric. And I'm going to line the edge up just like I would if I were sewing anything else. I'm going to match the edges. And I'm going to line it up and I'm going to stitch right on that. But now I have to flip it over and sew on that line there. Okay.
All right, my red piece is not big enough. It's not covering up my triangle. So I probably need to slide it.
Yes, you may need to slide it one direction or the other.
Or just add an inch to everything you tell me to cut.
Or that.
Okay, red, 3.5 by 4.
That was like they were on a thrill ride. Don't, Dave! He can't wait till I screw up so he can show
No, I
off.
just think it's funny because I measure 3-4 times,
I don't do that.
cut wrong 3-4 times, but it's exactly the wrong every single time.
Every single time.
It's the exact same measurement every single time. Yeah.
Oh,
Right, just the plastic template and the add a quarter?
yes.
Okay, then they're up.
So what exactly did you do wrong?
Well,
Because I was gonna ask a question before you started.
what was it? Check to make sure?
No, but I'm not asking questions. Last time, I got beaten like a dog in the street. So I decided to stop asking questions.
Well, you should always check what you're doing, but I didn't.
My question was, so the paper is right side up.
Mm-hmm.
The red fabric is right side up.
The red fabric's right side down.
When you flip the, okay,
Yeah, you sew it right side down and flip it in on the back of the paper.
it's an awfully pretty piece of fabric, but it looks like good on the back side.
It's on the front side.
When you flip the paper over, when you first were gonna start sewing.
Like this?
Mhm.
Well, it's still
But the red is right side up.
only,
No,
no,
I have more sewing terminology.
yes.
Oh, I'm gonna put our new banner up
Oh, G's got a new banner for the website.
for Halloween. If you go to Facebook, it's.
She's excited about that.
I
banner.
loved it. It was so cute. Perfect
saw
for
it?
Halloween.
I love it.
She's really excited about it. I haven't seen it. That's G's world. She does that stuff.
That's her baby.
Yeah, she keeps track of all that kind of thing.
She doesn't do a good job, but she tries.
That's her department.
Okay,
She keeps track of things.
we are up. It is so cute.
She loves it.
And we've got spiders hanging off of our hats.
We have spiders on our hats.
We have.
Oh, I saw a really cute way to make spiders in your chocolate chip cookies.
Oh, I'm not allowed to eat chocolate chip cookies anymore.
Oh, really? Just
They
make
don't
them.
let
You don't have to eat
They
them.
don't let me eat nothing.
She's being punished.
I need an expert that can see me.
She needs an expert that can see her.
What's the matter?
Can you see her?
Where is she?
Can you see what happened to my red? My red didn't go all the way to the end.
What's on the other side?
No, it's not shifted. It's not in place enough.
I'm not over far enough right here. Do I need to redo that, or will that be okay in the seam allowance?
Okay, wait.
Is it less than a quarter of an inch gap there?
Something looks cute.
Marie, is that what?
Just barely less.
So might be tight.
You just end up with a new kind of.
This bird's got a sore.
He's got to use a red Sharpie marker.
Then we have a ravelly place. Do I need to redo that?
Okay, hold on 1 second. I'm gonna show Steph the picture.
Okay.
Hold on, keep talking there.
All right. Here is your bad student.
Oh, is that in the seam allowance?
It will be, yes.
Yes, I wouldn't worry about it one little bit.
I love you. Thank you.
Not one little bit would I worry about that.
She loves you.
I love you very much.
I do. I will not sweat the small stuff.
And if it shows, I will take Susan's advice and color that sucker in.
Yeah, maybe you could probably do like a little bit of, if it ends up being a little bit in, you could use a little Sharpie, but you could also maybe a little bit of fabric glue that'll keep it from fraying.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay.
My piece is bigger next time.
Fray check works good.
Yeah. How about a fat quarter for each piece, Marie?
Fat. That's what I need to do.
Just don't cut your piece out.
Oh yeah. Oh, there you go. Yeah, work on your fat quarter. Well, that's a good idea for funky shapes.
I'll put a yard and bring it up.
Did you see what she's doing? That's a great idea.
Just leave the whole piece on.
That's a great idea for like when you get angles. It's the angles that make it hard.
Just put the whole stinking hunk on there.
That's just a great idea.
Oh, of course I didn't.
That's a stupid question.
Yeah.
So this is the tail?
Working on the tail, you said?
Yep, this is the tail. Oh, gee, will you pick out all these pickers?
Sure.
Well, because I got a whole bunch of because I had to unsew. I did a little unsewing.
Just a little.
So G is gonna pick out my little threads that I have left over. You know how it is.
Because I'm a knit.
I could say something really crude, but I'm trying not to. But this
trying to be good.
This hole happens to be at the very end of my tail.
Oh, well,
That's appropriate.
it's in the right spot.
Certainly.
Well, if anybody asks, you can let them know exactly what it's for.
I'm gonna tell them it was intentional, that this bird had some medical issues.
Well, you need a little thought of bird poo on your thing to
You know, I could just applicate a little brown dot right there.
There you go.
Yeah. So
You
a
know,
brown
you
Sharpie.
need it.
A brown
You
Sharpie.
need the poop. You need the poop emoji.
No. Somebody needs to print that on fabric and I'll just applicate it right on.
Here, see this? There's that.
We're gonna take those.
Not the piece of the fabric.
Oh, that's cute.
Wait, let me show them real quick where this goes. So this is gonna go like this. She's fired.
You just said pick her out, or you didn't say what I was picking out.
I fired G just now. Now she doesn't get a paycheck. She doesn't get a paycheck, so you know, it is what it is. But
Yeah, trust
I
me.
fired her.
Oh, so Marie, to make you feel better, I trimmed mine up without flipping it open first, without opening it up. So now I have like a major gap at mine.
No, I brought you bad luck.
Oh, no, it was at the other end. You know, I wonder. I could. Oh no, it was at the other end of the tail. I could probably put it back around, and he has a little chopped off tail.
Hey, he could have gotten too close to a weed eater or something. Somebody just
Susan, put some black on it and then you'd have a black tail.
There you go. Or you know what? I can just put another piece of red on and just lengthen it that way. So
it please the red to the end.
Yeah.
Show them mine that I lengthened the bird tail on one.
Oh my gosh.
This one. You see this one right here, Susan?
Okay. Yeah.
I did it. I led to lengthen my tail.
So we're learning how to paper piece and to recover our paper piecing in the
That's
same.
it. Take your tail feather baby. Hold the purple- Yeah. you can have those for-
Okay.
Design opportunity.
Yeah.
That's it.
It's a design opportunity.
Listen, I'm a professional screw up.
Oh my
It's
gosh.
just how it is.
Awesome.
So, you know, Dusty went camping, right?
Yeah.
We live in Pennsylvania. It's cold here now. It's cold.
But he went prepared.
He did go prepared. But for somehow last night, their furnace, their little heater, whatever,
Crap down.
didn't.
No way.
It got down to like 34 degrees. 31. Oh, yeah, the water was frozen.
31 degrees.
Wow.
Are they in a tent?
They slept in the van. Because
That's not your background.
yes, it is.
Oh,
Did
yes.
Did I miss something? Did we cut around this piece?
You trim off.
We
the
trim off the
excess,
excess.
but not the
Okay.
seam allowance. Don't cut out the seam allowance.
Yeah, don't trim off your seam allowance. Make sure
Oh,
you
you
cut.
use a 1/4 inch past the solid line.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
And
So
remember, the dotted lines are not perfect, so that's not
Right.
really a 1/4 inch every single time.
right,
Yeah,
so
use your ruler.
always best to measure a 1/4 inch past the solid line.
Because whoever drew the pattern,
I'm gonna Dave.
I didn't know it was you.
Of course it was me.
Of course, you knew what we're using.
It's not fair when you be in.
I know, because I know all your devious ways.
How can you not draw a parallel line that's
Dave.
equal?
Because it was really parallel once, but then I moved something and forgot to move the other thing.
Okay, that explains a lot.
Nobody, it makes no sense.
Just be careful the way you move that rotary cutter around there, Steph.
I'm only one human, Dave.
So what are you cutting now?
So right now I'm cutting out the next piece, which is this little guy. So it says background, and then it says number 2 gold.
Is that the beak?
That is the beak.
Okay.
So, and you're gonna use your little glue stick and you're gonna glue your background piece down. And you're gonna use your little handy dandy yellow
Order by.
thing or your cardboard or whatever you got. This is nice just because it's so thin and you can run it over with your iron. Okay,
And
now,
you can get one.
well, we do, but
On whose site?
huh?
Question on this, do we put the top, the good side of the fabric against the paper?
Against the wrong side of the paper.
So like the wrong side of the paper, wrong side of fabric.
Yes.
Yes.
Wrong side of
Wrong side of
pattern.
paper, wrong side of fabric.
Say that again.
Wrong side of paper, wrong side of fabric. So you're gonna glue the wrong side of the fabric to the wrong side of the paper.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. And then you're gonna use your straight edge, line it up with the straight line between your background fabric and your gold. There's that little diagonal straight line there. You're gonna line that up. Fold your paper over and trim a 1/4 inch past that edge. So trim off your background fabric there. And then you're gonna need a little square of
10 inches.
2 inches. safe.
And 3 if you're overly cautious.
If you're the kind that wears a belt and suspenders at the same time, 4 inches.
On the belt.
You don't wear a belt?
No, elastic is my friend.
You can use one.
So now all I'm done is I'm lining up my piece of yellow. I'm lining up the raw edge of it and the raw edge of my,
Excuse me.
God bless you.
Thank you.
there.
Did you trim around the number 1 piece before you laid the gold, or you just leaving everything on there?
Nope, I trimmed it all off.
I missed that.
You can see it on the rerun.
I missed. I'm gonna be.
Question, this is a serious one.
Okay.
Well, that way I don't have so much
Oh,
scrap.
let me go in the other
hanging out all
room.
over.
I gotta shut this off. I'm making someone's lunch, but I don't want to burn the place down. So, you know, my anxiety gets me. This COVID is freaking me out.
Don't let it freak you out.
You're still on for something ever happens to us to take Ian, right?
Of course.
Okay. Now, if Cooper's still alive,
Of
would you
course.
take Cooper too? Okay, thank you. Because I'm finding someone to do my living will, and Phil, of course, you know, he whatever, he doesn't plan ahead. So I'm shopping.
Someone should really turn their volume off, then mute themselves, because we're hearing your conversation.
On a bank account that I have for him. It's like a college fund bank account. And if something happens,
Talking about a
Krista?
college bank account.
$5,000 there.
Krista, you need to mute yourself. We're hearing your conversation.
That's who once the COVID thing is over.
Krista, can you
Yeah.
mute? Can you mute, please?
Hold on. Oh, shit.
Yeah, we heard
Sorry,
that
I
too.
thought I was muted.
That's
Sorry.
okay.
Okay, I just muted everybody, so anybody needs to talk, you're gonna have to unmute yourself.
I can't get back on.
It's okay. I was concerned that based on the
She was talking
conversation I
about-
heard, yes, that somebody was having a medical emergency.
Or-
And so she's not paying attention to Zoom.
Yeah.
But when she started talking about a college fund or something,
Well, and wills and, yeah, that's not our business. Anyway, so, okay,
Make it
so
our business.
I don't want to be in that business. So now I've stitched my, my line here, and now all I'm going to do is fold this over, do a nice little finger press here. I'm going to hit it with the iron. Now I'm going to
your iron's taken off.
Now I'm gonna go ahead and trim this up. So I'm gonna just a 1/4 inch from that solid line and cut. Same thing on the outside, 1/4 inch. Out. Now you have, so this is my beak piece. So I have now, we should have 3 pieces. This piece that G unpapered for me. The bird body. The bird beak.
These slow people aren't with you yet.
That's okay. I'll wait for you.
Thank you.
You're absolutely welcome.
Let's see how this all fits together. So does that do like that?
Nope. Goes down like this. Why don't you, can you slide the whole thing up on here so you can
Sure.
lay it up there better?
Sure.
Just throw my crap out, Dave. There we go. Now, do you have enough room to lay it down on top?
Yeah, but now I gotta adjust the camera.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay. So that's gonna go like that.
Yep.
This is gonna go like this.
Yep.
Now, this beak is much bigger than the beak that's on there.
That's because once it gets sewn into the seams, it'll be smaller.
Okay, so that would go like that. And this would go. And it's a little tiny piece of black.
Yes, it'll be much, and that piece on there.
Yeah,
will
that'll
much
be
smaller.
small, okay.
Yeah, it'll all
So
be
you after you do your 1/4 inch seam thingy,
correct. It'll be much,
and this is the tail.
and that's the tail.
The pieces are starting to come together.
That's it. That's how it goes. So the next piece is going to be this piece.
And I'm gonna get overtime because this is taking forever.
You
Dave,
can only finish half of it.
well, if we have to do another little part of the class, we will. That's all.
Well, Thursday night's not available.
I understand.
We'd be having a Halloween party. Good pricing on grasshopper.
Grasshopper.
Oh, wait.
You could dress up like a grasshopper.
Caterpillar.
Oh, you know,
If
you
like
can,
for it, we'll have it.
you can dress her up, but you can't take her anywhere.
That's my kind of woman.
Good gravy.
That's not true. You can go out and take her places and have a lot of fun.
See?
Oh,
My
boy.
husband likes me. I'm one of the lucky
Sometimes.
ones.
I love you.
No. He usually likes me. It's me that sometimes doesn't like
Oh,
it.
oh, that's right. I forgot.
So let's just be clear on.
Well, I'm a mess, don't show anybody.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I didn't put any makeup on.
I didn't know you weren't allowed to be on camera.
Well, she's allowed to be.
Yeah.
No, no, she just said don't put her on camera.
She said she's a mess. She doesn't want to be.
That's right.
But I
that's
could
okay.
use a water, Dave.
Okay.
Would
watch
you
the
mind?
camera.
I'm on delivery service only.
Well, you could get up and get it yourself. If
But-
you could actually make it through the path we made for you.
I'm gonna beat him with a stick.
This is what happens when I get tired of cranking.
Oh, Dave. Anyways, so how are you girls coming along? Are you making it?
Well, this is a big, big bird.
It's gonna be a big bird.
Big, big bird.
It's not gonna be that big. It'll only be 9.5 inches.
Oh, no, I said, it looks seem like my beak's big.
Oh, it's not really. Once you sew it in, it won't be that big.
It'll make a little good little pillow, but not big pillow.
That's right.
Ooh, you could make placemats.
You could.
I'm trying to figure out where in the fire this beak's going on this bird.
If you made the fabric blue, would it be a bluebird?
No, it won't be a bluebird still.
Does it come out as a square? In other words, could I do them vertically instead of horizontally and make it like a wall hanging?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Yes, you can put the one
You
bird
can
on top
put
of
them
the other.
any way you want.
Still take placemats.
You could do 4 like
Yeah.
framed it
Yeah.
if you wanted.
Isn't it beautiful? You may not get it back, Lorraine. But we'll hang a ribbon on it here.
We'll just go steal one off Dusty stuff and hang it up. That'll be good.
Well, let's see. Who's left? Play. I think she's getting ready to do brown next.
I am.
For the feet.
This is going to be the next piece, the last piece that was on that first piece of paper. So this is going to be And we're actually going to do it backwards.
Let's confuse you. Okay, here's the piece.
I am going to confuse you.
Oh, I guess I should do this.
It looks like fangs.
5 brown, 2 gold, 3 brown, 1 brown, 6 background.
So I am actually going to do it backwards, and I'm going to go back through and renumber this.
Okay.
Reason being, it's going to be easier to do it backwards, and I didn't think of it till now. But this first piece, this number 5, if I make it number 1, I'm
Okay.
only going to have to worry about this weird odd shape being gold and it being at that funky angle, because this side is square on this other little foot, and this then won't be square. So on this one, I'm going to change this to number 1. So we're going to do number 5 as number 1. Okay. So we're going to work down this way instead of this direction. We're going to, we're going to do it backwards.
So it's going to be 1, and then to the left of that is 2, and then 3 is
3 will
brown.
be 3. Right. So number 1 will be 5, and number 5 will be 1.
Okay.
All right. So we're going to cut a strip of fabric. That is 6.5 by 1.5. 6.5 by 1.5.
And did you say we were all going to get a recording of this?
Oh yeah, we'll send you a link. G will send you a link to this.
Check your spam.
A Facebook or a YouTube link. But if we don't get this done, is everybody able to go over or does anybody here outside the house?
No.
Yes, I work outside of the house.
I'm sorry.
I work outside the house.
I'm sorry for you too.
I do too.
Me too.
Okay, so what time can you go if we need to do this on another evening?
I get out of work at 4 o'clock.
Me too, or a little bit earlier. But
So if we needed to do this like another evening, would 6 o'clock work?
yep.
Yes.
Yeah, that'll work for me.
It'll
As long
work.
as it's not Thursday.
Any day but Thursday. I'm a little busy on Thursday night.
Yeah, we're a little busy on Thursday night too.
Yeah, I have a party to go to. I can't do Thursday.
Oh my
night.
goodness. Right.
Big party.
But that's not till later, right? That's 8 o'clock.
That isn't till later, but we'll have to get ready and stuff, so.
Right. Because I have something that I have to do from 6 to 8.
So if we did, so if we shot for like Tuesday night, that would work?
Work for me.
Work for me.
All right, Tuesday night at 6. So we can do the second half of this. Now, this second half really won't take very long.
So if we run over tonight, how long will we be?
Yeah, if we run over tonight, we could probably be really done in an hour.
And
You stay forever if you let me go to the bathroom.
Oh,
we'll take a break.
If, are you guys okay to go for an extra hour?
I am.
I can.
What day is it? Sunday? Yeah. No, it's
That's
Saturday.
It's fine.
Okay, well then,
It's Sunday.
It's
Okay.
If
Sunday.
my husband needs me, he'll
Okay.
let me know.
all right, well, let's take a break. We'll take a break now. And then we'll come back and we'll finish. And then we'll finish this block. Then we'll get you guys the link for the entire thing. So you can go back and do the next. You'll have 2 more blocks to finish, or 3 or 10 or 12 or 50 if you want to, however many. And have them done so we can do the second part of the class on the 8th of November.
And the second part is what? Putting the
The
sashing around?
second part, no, you're gonna
No.
do the sashing and everything, because I figure most of you know how to do
Okay,
sashing.
okay, yeah.
We're gonna be using the design squares, which this, you can lay on top. You're gonna use your templates and whatnot. We're gonna design the quilting for your runner. So we're gonna use different templates. We're gonna design the quilting. We're gonna lay it all out, take pictures as we go, decide what quilting we're gonna do, and then the following time we're gonna actually quilt them while we're at it, during the class. So that's what we're gonna do. So we're gonna do this as a 3-part thing so that we're learning all the whole process.
Right.
what day is the planning?
What day is the planning? It's on the 8th. The 8th of November. So, okay, we're gonna take a break. So I'm gonna put the camera over on the clock. So what do you want to say, like 10 minutes? Is that good?
Sounds good.
That'll be good.
So we're gonna turn you around so you're looking at the clock. So we'll be back at 10 till.
Okay, I'm gonna go. I'll see you online.
Okay. Bye, Elaine.
Bye, Elaine.
You mute her.
You're live.
I'm live.
You're
So is everybody back? I know.
There's at least one person in a little tiny picture down in the
Yep.
corner wandering around. Yeah, they're gonna be good. You're good to go. You got video, you got audio.
Hello.
you all smoke pits.
Okay.
You want me to leave this door open a little bit, Gene?
No, because it's cold. I'm cold. How are you?
All right. So if everybody is ready, I have cut my and already glued my little strip of brown to the number 5 brown spot.
Wait. I apologize. Okay, go ahead and let me. Oh, jeez. Okay, what are you doing here?
Okay, so I cut the strip of brown 1.5 by 6.5, and I glued it to the wrong side of my paper. Okay.
Brown, number 5.
Yep.
Okay, that's right there. Okay.
Yep. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and trim the excess off. So I'm going to line up my little plastic dooflippy here. And it's very technical terminology with the straight line between the brown number 5 spot and the background number 6. Fold that back. And then I can put my add a quarter ruler right on the lip there.
Ask me if it's a good enough picture.
Can you all see that okay?
Anybody here? These people might not be there.
Well, I hope they're there because I'm going.
We can see it. I'm here.
Okay,
Everybody
good.
else is.
Now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to trim the excess off here as well. So just a 1/4 inch past your solid line. All the way around.
So did you put that strip on the whole thing?
No, just over the brown piece. Now I'm going around it. So now as I come to this side, now I'm ready to do I'm going to lay my plastic thing between the brown number 5 and the gold number 2. So I'm going to lay my little straight edge there right against that line, fold back my paper, and then I'll add a 1/4 ruler so I can trim the excess off.
You're up here.
Sure. So now you can see I've got my little angle there. And I'm ready to do the little feet. So now for the little feet, they're little tiny little fellas. So we aren't going to need much as far as a piece of fabric. Yes, just a scalpel. That's right. I'm always looking for something. So I'm going to cut a piece. It's about 2 inches wide.
That's 3, but okay.
This is 3 inches. But 2 inches is plenty, really.
You could have got away with 1 inch probably.
Probably, but I'd rather be safe than sorry.
I didn't do that. She hit the phone this time.
All right, so now I'm going to take this piece and I'm going to lay it right on top.
Right sides together.
Right sides together. And the raw edges are going to be together. Lined up. So now I'm going to go ahead and flip my paper over and I'm going to sew. Now make sure you come down into this seam allowance. You're gonna start down here and end up into this background piece about a quarter of an inch.
Bring it forward because we can't see.
Sure. Let me see if I can find my,
Okay, she's gonna stitch,
pointer.
start down in here, right?
right, so I'm gonna start down here. And I'm gonna end up here. All right, stitching along this line. So no back stitching, and I'm at that number one. I'm at number one for stitch length. So it's a very short little stitch length.
So why are you going from the outside in and going over that quarter of an inch? Just wondering.
Because there's no back stitch first off.
Okay.
And I want to make sure that when I sew these pieces all together, that that the tails get covered in the seam allowance. That's what's going to keep them in, really, because you're not back stitching or anything like that. Just like when you're piecing, you know, the seam allowance, you sew clear to the edge, because when you sew the blocks together, that's what's keeping your block pieces together. If you don't sew them together, like on the edge of your quilt, you know, they'll kind of come apart. Same thing with paper piecing.
Plus you get better, your points more exact if you if you go.
So I always overshoot by, you know, a few stitches, because I want them to get caught in that seam when I catch it between, when I sew the next piece to this one. So now I'm going to go ahead and just cut these threads out of the way. So now you can see I've got, that's nice and even across here. And I'm going to flip it, finger press. I'm going to zip down here quick and just give it a little press. Now I'm going to flip this over, and I'm going to take my little plastic thing, and I can go to my next diagonal line, and I can fold my paper back. Now I'm going to trim 1/4 inch pass. And I'm going to do the same thing on this long line between. Fold that back and trim that gold off there 1/4 inch above. So there's a foot.
What does that mean? What are you looking for?
Steph, did you already trim the line, the straight line between the brown and the first leg and the background?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, now,
What you looking for, Beatrice?
now I'm going to cut another piece of brown. Now this piece of brown, I'm going to cut a little bit wider because I've got that funky angle that I've got to deal with here.
You've gone all the way around. I don't think you can. Oh, there it is.
I knew I had, I just didn't know where.
Now, are you doing this little tiny piece of brown or the other end?
I'm doing the little tiny piece of brown.
Okay.
So I'm gonna cut this, I'm gonna cut a piece that's 2 inches wide by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 inches long. And that'll actually take care of both of the last 2 pieces.
Don't cut like she does.
Yeah. Well, I don't want to hit the camera.
Yeah, I don't want you to take a finger off though.
Oh, well, wouldn't that be an exciting thing?
All you would be going is don't bleed on the fabric, don't bleed on the fabric.
You're right.
I did that already through COVID and it was a mess. I cut my finger with the Olfa cutter right through my nail. It was nasty.
Good.
Nasty.
Tell them what you're doing.
Okay, so now I'm taking my little brown piece of fabric here, this, and I'm gonna line it up with the edge of my first little foot here, lining up the raw edges. And then when I flip it over, I'm gonna sew on this solid line that's between the number 2 gold and the number 3 brown section.
Okay, your hand is in the way and I can't, okay, there you go.
So we're gonna sew right here. So what's gonna happen is we're gonna start down here. So this next stitch line is gonna cross over this. So there will be no way that this stitch line will ever come out because it's gonna get crossed over as soon as I sew this line. So it's just preventing these lines from coming out. That's why you start, you know, that's why you're going into the other seam allowances.
Sorry, ladies.
Ow.
Did you stab yourself?
I did. Just a little. It's only a small,
Occupational hazards.
small stab. So trim those threads. I'll finger press this. And then I'm gonna come over here and give this a little press.
We're collecting crap over there.
Oh yeah, listen, when I sew, I have crap everywhere. This is why Dusty makes us clean every week before we do the show. He says, you've got to clean so I can decorate because Dee and I, by the end of the week, we've got crap piled up all over. All right.
Crappy.
We do. We make a big mess.
Creativity is messy.
It is. That's what we keep saying anyway. And he doesn't have any room to talk.
A
His area is
messy
a
room
mess.
is the sign of an intelligent mind or something like that.
Is that what it is?
That's my story I'm sticking to.
Okay, that sounds good to me. I'll go with it. So now I just folded this back on this straight line between the number 3 brown and the number 2
The one we
gold.
just stitched on, right?
Nope. The one right after the one was stitched on.
Why wouldn't you cut before you stitch?
Because I don't want all this hanging over. Now we're going to come down and we're going to trim off the bottom, 1/4 inch past the solid line. Now we're going to take this next piece and it's going to go right on here like this, lining up that gold with the edge of the brown. And again, I'm starting down in the seam allowance. There we go.
I've got a tip for you. When you've got all these little pieces and you're using them and you might use it again, I keep one of these strawberry plastic things and I throw them in there, so I've got them somewhere close. See these strawberry bins?
Oh, that's a good idea. Great tip. We like tips. All right, so now I am taking my little yellow thing again. I'm going to line it up on this straight line between the gold number 2 and the brown number 1. I'm going to fold that over again. Trim this to 1/4 inch pass. And now I'm going to turn it, and I'm going to also trim past this long line between the background number 6 and the row that we just finished piecing. Well, we still have that little brown piece on the end, I guess, to put in there.
I hadn't put my second tooth on yet.
See,
They run out of juice.
there's a battery charger over there. She says we might run out of juice.
I'm gonna do that.
Don't do that. That's right.
I'm trying not to.
She's trying to be proactive.
Okay, the things may go wonky here for a second. I'm gonna try to plug in the phone. Okay, there we go.
Okay. She got it.
Good job, Jean.
She gets an A. For now. Okay. So now we have to do this number 1 brown. So I'm using the last piece that I cut from that 2-inch strip. So this is the 2-inch strip that's left. So I'm gonna line the straight edge, and I'm gonna line it up with the straight edge of the gold that I just used for the foot. So I'm gonna line that right up with that. And I'm gonna line it up with the bottom, straight across. Flip it over, and then we're gonna stitch it through the seam allowance. All right. Cut my little threads here. Dave went to do laundry. Wasn't that good?
That was nice.
I know.
Mine too.
G will have nice clean clothes when she gets home. All right, so now I'm going to finger press this again. And this is again another thing that I'm going to add just a little bit of the glue stick here again just because it's gonna keep that darn end from flopping around, which annoys the heck out of me. So now I'm gonna give this just a little press here. Oh, I almost touched the hot part of the iron. That would have. All right, flip it back over and I'm gonna trim up any of the extra fabric off the edge here. Quarter inch out from the solid line. Gus, you'll be impressed when he gets home with all my mess, won't you?
Something for him to clean. On the center line again. Huh?
Yep, now I'm lining that, my little plastic up with that center line all the way across so we can trim up this last little piece of brown here.
The nice thing about these little plastic things is it's just thick enough to catch the edge of that 1/4 inch ruler so that you get a really nice cut.
Right. I always used to use a piece of cardboard is what I used to use. And then I saw these online, and the bad thing about them is they're metric, which is great if you're in Canada or another country because they use the metric system.
Or if you know the metric system.
Or if you're right.
We're stupid.
But well, I can use the metric system because I do it all the time because that's what all my software is in for the tools. But if you're unfamiliar with it, it's just a pain in the butt that you have to convert things all the time.
Buttocks.
Yes,
Buttocks.
and you don't want to do that. But it works great for this type of thing. And it gives me that nice curve too. So when I need to do something that's got,
you could do pockets,
yeah,
the corners of pockets with it. You can do collars with it. You
I don't need to measure things. I just need to have that nice
curve.
So
Anyway, we have them on the website. They're $6.99.
On which website?
On the Steph and G Show website, if you just go to the main page, it's going to be the first block. You're going to see the cardinals and just click on the cardinals.
Thank you.
You're welcome. If you're looking for the square that she's going to be design square for next week or the next, yeah, the 8th. For the 8th, we have them on week number 21.
yes.
Last night I tried to go back in and look at some previous weeks, but it would only let me go back like 3 or 4 weeks.
Right. If you're looking for a specific item, just put it in the search bar and it'll come up.
Just looking to see what I was left.
You can go down to leftovers and that should show everything else from previous weeks that were that's available.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. All right, what you doing now?
Well, I'm gonna square up this darn thing. And so just because, and I'm going to then use it to do the rest of this block. So that the leftover of my fabric is squared up, at least not all hacked off at the end. So now I need a piece to go at the end of this.
Oh, wait, let me.
Of this, right, or this section. So I need
The hot iron measuring tool says it's out of stock.
What?
Sold out. The hot iron measuring ruler says it's
yes,
sold
you can
out.
use. It says it's sold out.
Oh, I'll fix that right now.
Thank you.
Don't go out of the frame.
Don't go out of the frame, she said.
There's no camera person there.
Okay, so this, for me to be able to cut my piece for the background, I don't really need to cut extra because it's just a straight piece. So I just need to cut a 2 1/4 inch by 9 1/2 inch piece of my background fabric to finish up that block section. So that's what I'm going to do. 2 1/2 or 2 1/4, sorry, by 9.5. I'm not talking. I'm cutting. All right,
Is your
good.
tongue out at least?
And my tongue was out a little bit.
Okay.
G says you can do always so much better if your tongue's out. So now what I've got is I've got my little feet down here, and now we need this second little piece of background, which is just going to go down here. I'm going to line it up so that it's going to line up right across the bottom, right up with that, because this is the little stick that the cardinal's sitting on. And I'm going to stitch that right across there. Now, while I'm waiting, because my camera lady's fixing the website, I'm going to go ahead and scooch that off to the side. Oh, my camera lady's coming back.
It's fixed.
She was quick like grease lightning.
I was on it like blue boning. Okay, what are we doing?
Well, I'm going to go ahead and stitch this now that
Okay,
you're
wait,
back.
yeah, but you weren't in the thing.
I know, but I had it over here
oh, okay.
before. I slid it that way because I was going to move on to something else and put it in that camera view.
Okay.
Okay, so anyway, so now that I've got that lined up all along that last little bit that we did, so now I'm going to flip it over, slide it under, and I'm going to stitch the entire length of I can
We
hear
got somebody sewing along with us.
I can hear the hum of machines.
Me. I was one of them.
All right, so now I'm finger pressing. So there we go. I did get it a little baby, but that's okay. Better a little baby than too little, right?
Yeah, you always cut away.
I can always trim.
You gonna press it?
Well, all right.
I'm a pain. I needed the exercise.
She dropped my shit on the floor, guys.
Her template thingy.
Nothing else?
Nope, that was it.
She's throwing my stuff down.
This is the most walking I get during the day.
Shocked and amazed. I think the eyeball's probably gonna be a pain in the butt.
Is the eyeball hard? Steph says no, it's not too bad.
Good.
Just cut it big, you'll be fine. When in doubt, cut it big, you'll be all right. So there you go. So there's its little feet. So we should have, we have
little peg legs.
They look like fangs.
Yeah, you could make that into a little monster. There's no paper on the back of that one.
I know, was this a piece of something?
No, I don't think so.
Like that the had glue on it or something, maybe?
Well, put it aside and you'll see. That wasn't part of the piece. This was the ones that I took the paper off of. So this is it, isn't it?
I don't know. Oh, gee. This goes like
Oh, his
this.
eye. You still need his eye.
Yeah, that's on that next page.
Oh,
These are his little feet.
wait, let me get up above.
So this goes like this. No, that is go there.
Well, that's part of this right here, I think.
So were there only 4 pieces on that sheet?
I believe so.
Okay, so there's what, this how that lays out, like this.
There we go.
We should have the design, oh, it won't stick with papers on it. I was gonna say, we could hang it on the design wall.
Something's not wrong.
Well, no, it's because of the,
These aren't sewn together, so
Yeah.
it's gonna come in this way like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
it'll be a lot less. That's what Dave said too. He's like, this one's so much bigger. I'm like, not really. I mean, it does seem like that, but
So now she's doing her paper dolls again.
yeah.
I'm sewing my bird's hole shut.
Which piece you working on?
So what are we doing now?
Okay, so did everybody make out with, they've got that foot section done?
Well, I have to do the first part again, but that's okay.
I'm done.
I can catch up on that. I've got everything else done.
Okay, so the next piece we're gonna do is this piece. So it has red number 5, red number 3 with a little arrow, blue number 2, that piece, that's the
It's
piece
on the
going-
second page, right? Yeah.
It's on the second page. Yep, first page is all done.
Okay.
This is the eyeball, right?
This is the one with the eyeball. Okay,
Oh,
I'm gonna
man.
put this down here. I'm gonna hijack G's. Here, G, would you fold this up for me?
My bird might have his eyes closed.
Your
Thinking
bird
that was a good idea.
You can always put a little crystal in there or something.
You could,
A little black bead.
sure, you could do whatever you wanted. It's your bird.
Do what you want to do. To do.
I'll
Okay,
get points taken off.
oh, yeah. Sure you will.
Okay, so what are we doing first? Red, right?
Okay, number 1 is red. So keep, now, if you've kept your little pieces and parts lying around, you can pull some of those out. So this is one of my parts that I had laying here, that I'm gonna be able to use. So I'm gonna go ahead and flip my part over, and I can go ahead and use my little glue and put a little glue on the back of my,
So the first one is always facing up and all the others are facing down.
that's correct.
Okey doke, got it.
First piece is always facing up. Now, I'm gonna go ahead and trim this. So when I'm trimming it, I'm also gonna trim off any excess of the excess paper and whatnot that might be sticking out around, just because I got enough problems. I don't need any more. So I get rid of anything that I don't need. It's just get rid of it. Now, remember, the red is only covering this first little square. So you go into this red line or solid line, this diagonal one.
Between it and the black.
Right. So you're gonna have to lay your little flippy, your little cardboard or whatever you've got. On there.
I add a corner's got a skinny on the end.
Then on the bottom of your red, you're gonna again use your cardboard. Trim off any extra. And then on the inside. Now, I don't know if you noticed, but like right here, I didn't have quite a quarter of an inch there. It's okay. It's not going to be the end of the world. It's not going to hurt anything. It really will, you know, it's still going to be in the seam allowance. It'll be fine.
Good, because I don't either.
Yep, I don't sweat the small stuff, only really big things. Okay. Next piece is the blue for the eye. So I'm going to lay that so it's face down and it's going to match up with the top. So I've got my piece upside down. So the longest flat edge is facing me, laying down. Okay, so it's towards me. And now I'm going to lay my blue piece on that flat little edge at the top of my fabric. So that's going to go right sides together with the raw edges aligned there on the edge. And then I'm going to stitch that little line between the #1 red and the #2 blue. Making sure that you're leaving a couple of stitches past the line on either end. How many of you have ever English paper pieced?
Not me, but I want to learn.
I have.
Johanna loves it. I'm not interested in it.
Mary has.
Never done it. Suzanne, I've never done it.
Never done
I
it
have
either.
and I love it.
I did a lot
If
of
we
it
were
when
going
my
to teach a class on
good. When my son was playing baseball. That was a great little take along.
if we were going to teach a class on it, would you want like a kit with everything you would need in it? Or would you want just the paper pieces and then supply your own fabrics? How would you want to do that?
Are you going to use, have you thought about, are you going to use different shapes? Are you going to do all hexes or?
I think we're going to use different ones, different shapes.
I wouldn't mind just having the paper and then picking my own fabric.
Yeah.
That sounds good.
Sounds good to me.
I agree.
Okay, well, that's what I was curious of because I've got a few brainstorming ideas, you know, and I know that it's been suggested as a class, and I like English paper piecing. Okay, so now that I've got that piece on there, so now I'm going to go ahead and fold this over and finger press. Then over to my iron here and give it a little press. And again, now they make an add an 1/8 ruler as well. That is handy.
Steph, I have a question.
Yes.
What is the difference between what we're doing right now and English paper piecing?
Okay, English paper piecing actually uses shapes, triangles, squares, diamonds, hexagons, half hexes, elongated like hexes, those shapes basically. And they're made out of like cardstock kind of. And you take those shapes and you wrap your fabric pieces around them. And they're basted. You baste your fabric around, and then you connect them together to form different patterns using either all the same shape, like a grandmother's flower garden, just with hexes, or different ones. So that's what English paper piecing is.
So I've got one here.
Oh.
Okay, so that was just, these were 3/4 inch, I think. These were little hexagons. And these were all the solid color samples from a keepsake quilting, if when you got their sample of all their fabrics. So.
Oh, that's pretty. So.
And then that's what it looks like from the back. And you can see that around the outer edge, let me see. You can see the white, you can see the paper is still inside that.
Do you ever pop the paper out?
Yes, but you keep it when you're joining. I keep the paper in on the outside for my firm edge, but once you've got the pieces surrounded, you can pop them out.
Okay.
You reuse them.
It's fun.
Stitch based.
Here's my hexagon shaped made out of non-hexagons.
Oh, nice. Are you doing one of those Mille Fiore ones?
I'm trying. It's
good.
The new hexagon book. I can't remember off the top of my head. Yes.
Yep.
One day I'll get past the first block.
Well, you got farther than I did if you've even started it. So I think I had fabric and the book stacked up, but.
Look, Kit.
Okay, I have to go.
Confession time now, right? Sorry.
I
Sorry,
have
Suzanne.
to go. So I might be back. I have to go. My dog got groomed, so I have to go pick him up. So he's still here when I get back, but I'll watch the end of how you put the bird together.
Okay, sounds good.
Bye, Suzanne.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
I was gonna say, this is the one I'm working on.
Oh yeah, okay, good. That's fun too.
Too long.
Now, see, my favorite reason for paper piecing is because it's perfect. It's perfect. And if you have, or people have with points and getting their line up and things like that. And personally, I think for beginners, I think it's a great place for a beginner, for simple blocks, for 9 patches, for, I think it's a great place for a beginner to start because it's a great confidence booster because their quilt looks good from the get-go. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So my personal, it makes you feel awful when you know, and especially because you're probably learning from somebody who's quilted and quilted well for a long time. And you know what their quilts look like, and you want yours to look like them. And well, we all know that it's not as easy as what it looks like. And, it's a good confidence booster, I think, for somebody who's new to piecing. Especially because they get
if you like hand sewing, it's really, I find it's great if you're stressed. I find it really calming to just hand stitch.
I didn't know what paper piecing was called. but apparently I've already done it.
That's great.
I have 22 of these butterflies made
Oh my
that are
Nice.
appliqued and embellished for my daughter's bed, for her bedspread.
Beautiful.
I didn't know that was called English paper piecing. I didn't know what the difference was.
There you go.
And I still have all my cardboards are still in there until I've got them ready to be put on, so I don't have to worry about them losing shape.
Right.
They will get popped out. But I
Yeah.
said, I never knew that was called English paper piecing.
There you go.
All right.
It's so easy because in the sewing mode, you have an extra light, and then you can have a line, a red line that goes right down the center if that's what you want, or you can move it out, whatever. And so I had this bright line, and then I could just follow the red line and just.
Okay, so how are y'all making out? What number are you on?
I'm watching blue.
All right, so
I just sewed 3 on.
Yes, I'm doing number 3 and trimming it actually right now. So trimming all the excess. And see when you're getting these pieces that are small and really close together, they do make it an add an 1/8 ruler, which kind of, when you're at this spot where, you've got a lot of seams and they're close together, sometimes an add an 1/8 ruler would be kind of nice,
Found one, Steph. I just found one, Steph.
There you go. Listen, you find an awful lot of things.
So I also found one of those clover or sew line glue sticks today.
There you go. See?
So yeah.
She does get around. Okay, so now I'm going to number 4 with my black. So all I have here is just a chunk of leftover black. So I'm going to take it and I'm going to lay it along this front edge of these 3 pieces. So I'm going to lay the black down on top of those 3 pieces, lining up the raw edge all the way down. I'm going to flip it over so it's right side so I can see the lines on the opposite side, and I'm going to stitch through all the pieces. And again, trim my threads. Finger press. Iron. And the last piece that's going to go on will be red. Now, I'm just going to lay this on here. Line up my, let me cut a chunk off. Here, G, will you hold this up, please? Thank you. You're welcome. So now I'm going to take my scrap of red here. I'm going to line it up on the opposite side along the raw edge. Flip my piece over and I'm going to sew down through there. So there's that. So that's the last piece of on that piece. So now we're going to paper or finger press.
Well, there's a little black piece on this, isn't there?
Yep.
Probably should have done that one already. Oh, well, it'll work.
So now I'm gonna flip this over and I'm gonna trim 1/4 inch from the solid line all the way around. And that will give me this piece. Of the bird.
Why do I have?
Why do I line what up?
No, I was talking to myself. I have an extra little piece of blue, but that's in the seam when I put them together. Because there only should be one little piece of blue in the middle, right? That's his eyeball.
Yep.
Okay, that'll work. Next time, Stephanie, could you make something with the little smaller pieces?
Don't worry.
Sure, I'll get it. Turn off the camera.
Shit.
What are you doing for today? No, I'll get it off.
Well, it's hot.
This is the best time to get it off.
I just dumped the iron into the trash can.
Oh.
Is that-
So the fire department's coming?
And melted plastic onto it. This is 2 irons this week, I think.
Oh, my.
It's a good thing we have quite a few on here.
Okay, Dave, this goes on top of that other blue piece or that other red piece down there.
What other piece?
It goes right here above this, the black goes on top of black. There you go. Yeah. Okay, the last piece of paper piecing.
Would it help if I had what I was doing in the. So what you was talking about was this piece with the little blue eye goes approximately there. So you get a beak, you get a body,
Oh, I heard that.
you get a tail. And I don't know what this is, but
Those are the feet.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
What is the uh-oh? Maybe.
Well, the uh-oh is I didn't do the first one because I was late and there's a big hunk of red on it. Wait a minute, that might work. That might work.
Design opportunity, yay!
Oh, I know, I just love them. Okay. And of course I'm using scraps of fabric, so.
I should have a chunk of scrap of this somewhere.
What color?
Oh, I cut it off. It's cream colored.
I'm stepping on it.
Oh, geez, stepping on it. Great.
you asked her to fold it up and that creases by stepping on it.
You should, that wasn't one of the choices, should be asked.
Oh,
You guys know nothing about someone?
nothing.
Apparently not. Well, what we know is that we're human and everybody else knows it too.
We are human. We screw up all the time.
So we have.
And you get to teach us how to bail, how to recover.
Hey, When I'm perfect, ha, I'll let you know.
I can show you how to cut a butt out of a dress with a serger. But how to still wear it. You just got the drop.
I think we're in reaching.
Okay, so this is the last piece that needs any paper piecing on it. All right, it says red 2, background 1. All right. So I'm going to slide this down here. This is my little glue stick. Elmer's glue sticks work great. Same thing. Probably cost a whole lot less. If you throw your add a quarter ruler on the floor as much as I do, you should be thin by the end of class. I will be. Wait till tomorrow. Magic will happen at night while I'm sleeping. All right, so I'm trimming off anything a quarter past the solid line. I'm usually the honor.
You're gonna sleep good tonight because right now it's gonna be very cold.
Do you want to start cutting and see if we can use some glue and put on the backs of those for me? All right, now I have to use my handy dandy yellow thingy. And fold my fabric back on the line between the red and the background and trim away just a bit of this background fabric. And I'm going to find a piece of my scraps red.
I think I stopped paying attention. What are we on?
We're on this piece. It's the last piece that's paper pieced. It says background. Okay. And it has just that little tiny little skinny triangle on it.
Have we done the other pieces? I was paying attention myself.
The other pieces, all they do is get glued to those
right. Okay.
things, and then we sew the block together. And then you're going to make at least 2 more, or whatever, to finish the runner. Now everybody knows how to do stashing, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Dave doesn't know how, and he was confused.
He doesn't like it when I assume.
Well,
you buy a lot of quilty tools if you don't know how yet. So, yes, I know you do.
That's a bad word.
Okay, so now I just fold that up. Finger press. I'm going to trim off the excess fabric from that piece. And then we shall assemble. Now, nobody has removed any paper, right?
Right.
No.
Except for G did for me.
because I'm such a good friend.
Oh, you're gonna remove it before you sew it?
No,
No.
I wasn't supposed to remove it.
Oh, okay. I was gonna
Yeah.
say, because I've never done that.
Yeah, that's because you were doing it correctly.
Okay.
Dee was helping me out because remember I said I had to unstitch something. So I asked her to pick out the little things. And she thought that that little things meant I needed her to pick out the paper.
Oh.
Came out so smooth and easy.
Of course it came out easy. I used a one stitch. So it come out really easy. Okay, here, Dave, this goes above the bird's head. Oh, you need a long piece. This one won't work. No.
What happened to my cutting there?
I stole it. Here, do you want this?
Well, since I'm the one cutting, yeah.
You can have it.
My eyeball area is crazy. I think I have too much black. Maybe it just looks like that because there's so much seam allowance there.
Yeah, a lot of that'll get covered up.
Yeah,
when you sew it together.
And now I'm trying to figure out how to put this sucker together, and I'm having trouble.
Well, it's gonna look funny, and Dave has ours laid out here. And you're gonna be able to see it, but we're gonna lay it out and then we'll stitch it together. Because there is one Y seam in it.
And everybody says you should hate those, but you really shouldn't.
That's right.
They don't bother me a bit, but some people really don't like them at all. But I did a whole bunch of them before I even knew what the heck they were, so I guess if you don't know what they are, it's fine.
Yep.
Well, somehow my tail's not going back on like I thought it was a while ago. All right, I got my tail in place.
Good. That's good to know. You should always have your tail in place.
Misbehaving.
All right, so now I have gone and, well, G really did. She's glued my last few pieces of fabric to the background.
We don't know if it's right.
And we're cutting them out. Because the paper also keeps everything from stretching.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you want to make sure that you're putting your fabric on the paper.
My eyeball area still doesn't look right to me.
Did you sew it together already?
No, but just laying it down, it looks funky.
Well, that's because, are you accounting for the seam allowances and stuff?
Yeah, it seems like I have way too much black, but maybe not.
There's supposed to be some blue in there.
I got the blue eyeball. Gee, can you see me?
I can't see anything. We don't have.
Go ahead, show it again, Marie. Yeah, he's gonna have the little part of his face is black, and he's in the seam allowance. Hang on a sec.
Can they see the finished part of the bird, Dave? Can you show them the finished bird?
It's underneath all that stuff that's on top.
This one.
Yeah, but
Can you see the finished bird there?
Here, Marie, here's mine. So it looks like it's a lot of black, but remember, a lot of that's going to go away.
It is. A lot of it's gonna go away.
90% of
You
it.
see my eyeball and my goozle together here, or whatever that,
Yeah, so about this much is gonna go away,
right?
so it'll look better. And they
Okay,
have a
good.
little black face anyways.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
Okay, Dave, hand me this. Do I have all the parts now?
I think so.
Okay, is everybody caught up?
No.
No.
Oh, not,
That was quick.
I'm still trying to do the first block.
Where are we? Where are we supposed to be at this point?
Well, I'm ready to assemble.
Background.
Last piece
Oh,
with the little top knot thing on it.
So where are you?
I have not done the last piece that has a little teeny sliver of red on it in background.
That's what I'm just doing right now.
Yeah, I gotta
Okay.
do that too.
Well, you're good. You're good.
That's
Don't,
where I'm at.
you're fine. Take your time.
I don't want to hold up everybody. If I'm the,
You're fine. You're all right.
thank you.
Okay, I don't even know what I'm doing. I've got so many pieces of stuff everywhere.
It's a messy, this paper piece is messy.
Oh, here's the one. Okay, here's the one with the little piece of red. Okay.
I just have a question. When you're doing the background only, you place the pattern up and so that you look at it, and the right side of the fabric is away from you. Is that correct?
No, so when you're
Yeah.
doing just the background, so you're talking
Yeah.
the pieces that have no piecing, right?
Yeah, you can't see me. The background writing is up.
No, the
And-
background writing should be down
Okay,
and the fabric, the print or whatever should be facing up.
up.
So you put the glue, so they should be wrong side to wrong side.
Wrong side. Okay, that's what I was wondering. Okay, I'm okay. I think I got it. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
While they're finishing up, why don't you try logging on one more time? So you can see what challenges they face.
Okay.
And if we get a
When
little,
you get there, there'll be a big picture of me.
Okay.
One, two.
you don't have to waiting anymore and you can see them. I think you can see everybody now, so if you have questions and you speak, it'll show up on a big screen for her and she can help you.
Thank you.
I can. Look, she's got a beautiful scenic.
Yeah, no, some of these people know how to do stuff we don't know how to do.
She did it one day.
I did it one day too, but then I couldn't figure out how to do it again.
you ask one of the girls, they'll tell you.
When I do this next one, I'm going to use big stitches to put them on. And then if it's right, when I turn it, I'm going to use the little stitch.
I like that.
My idea. You want to hand me that piece? I was in the middle of packing it.
I realize that.
What's that little sticking up thing called? Top notch.
What?
What's that little teeny red thing sticking up?
His crest.
Thank you. I was calling it a top notch.
Oh, his crest?
Yes.
Well, not everybody that's taking this has cardinals where they live, right?
Yeah, they're not in California, I can tell you that,
Right.
or at least not Southern Cardinals.
Right.
There's some really poor examples of them in Cincinnati.
There's a lot in Illinois. We'll lock it.
Hey, Dave, what you dressing up as Thursday?
There's a lot in Virginia, so much that it's our state bird.
Yeah, it's North Carolina state bird too. Mosquito should be.
They're in Ohio, up in the Cleveland area, at least, because it is the Ohio state bird. And there are some down in Florida. And I agree about mosquitoes. They should be the state bird down here too.
Yeah. They're in Michigan. We have them. They never used to have them in Ontario, Canada when I was growing up, but they're expanding there now too.
Because California, it's mine. It's mine.
Sure from somebody's.
So Steph, so if I have my background glued to these guys, do I trim these now?
Yep, 1/4 inch past the solid line. And we will assemble. As soon as everybody's ready to go.
Sorry.
Oh, you're fine.
Because the boys are on the property, is it still on? That's an issue.
Steph, did you say you designed these in EQ7?
Uh-huh.
Good.
Carol, there is patterns for the Thanksgiving wall hangings. You can go to Farrell's Country Stitching and download them. I think they're up there. If they're not, I'm not sure if they're on Steph and G still or not.
No, they're not yet, because I don't have the pictures.
Okay, so they're not on there yet, but they will be at some point. If you don't see them on Farrell's Country Stitching though, you can just email me and I can PayPal invoice you or something for them. Jeopardy. You know, it's really funny because Dusty, my mother-in-law, she would watch Jeopardy.
Somebody says something, but
She would watch Jeopardy every night. And listen, I never get any of the answers right on Jeopardy, ever. And Dusty would get answers. I'm like, listen, why on earth would you even know the answer to that question? Why?
You might be well read.
No. He says, just another piece of useless information that fills my head.
At least he admits it. Okay.
You know, my grandpa used to blah, 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 whatever.
The keys to time.
You ever use one of those wooden seam roller things?
I've never used one. I have one.
One, but I think I work harder doing that than it would be just to reach around and get the iron.
I don't know. I've always finger pressed just with my nail, and
Yeah.
part of the reason I probably don't have any nails ever. I remember one of the first things I ever learned to do. My mother-in-law said, you have to finger press. Okay. She said I had to do it, so I did it. That was that. So he's home. Back to the RV. I know she's going home to cook dinner for us.
Anyone?
He's not really cooking for us, but it was funny.
One day I put those little round cheese cashew peat nuts. She'll have it ready on the table.
I want more than cheese and nuts. She lives on cheese and nuts. She's a mouse.
Sounds good to me.
I could too, but I'd weigh 300 pounds.
Cheese and nuts. She doesn't eat much cheese or nuts.
When we had our break, I went and got some cheese.
I should have. Okay.
I went and got a cookie.
I want cookies and cake and ice cream and donuts.
Ice cream.
I watch shows on TV that show all that good stuff.
You're nuts.
So I said it.
He's out of his mind. All right. So how close is everyone?
I just finished the crest.
I'm ready.
All right.
Y'all don't have to wait on me. If it's going to be recorded, I can go back and catch up.
All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to actually start with the middle part here of the bird.
Which is?
So we're going to be here with these pieces. So we're going to take the part with the eyeball and the body. So the parts with the black, and we're going to sew those. Wait.
Oh, that's the first one you did, right? I haven't done that. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, my black looks like your black, so I feel better now.
Oh, good. Yes, this goes like this. Okay, yeah. Okay, so we're gonna take those two pieces with the black on them, and we're gonna lay them right on top of each other so that the ends with the black line up, okay? So the ends with the black are gonna line up, and we're gonna stitch down the long side. Right on the line.
Do we stitch to the point or right off?
Yep, right off the edge.
Okay.
start at the top or do we start at the top of the line?
Start right off the edge and stitch.
Do you need to worry about matching the lines?
Do you need to what?
Like, do you need to make sure they exactly match? Like where the black is going to meet the next black? Do you need to stick a pin in there to make sure it hits in the right
No.
spot?
Nope.
Is that sweating the small stuff?
Yeah, we don't worry about that.
Okay.
All right, now you're gonna go ahead and trim your tail, your threads. And when you open this up, finger press, I like to open my seams up, okay? Because this is gonna get bulky fast. And I will pull my paper off the seam allowance. Okay? So not the paper off the whole piece, just the paper off the seam allowance. All right? Get rid of that. And then you might want to slide it under your iron. Just make sure those are opened up good. Okay, so now your piece should look like this. Okay.
You got to see mine. Wait a minute. I said the wrong way. I said the black to the black. That's gonna be a son of a bitch to pick out.
Oh, Marie.
Okay, well, my dear friend G helped me out here with this tail piece. Okay, so I ironed my, oh, she had me shut off the iron. No wonder it's not iron and working.
You shut off the iron.
I know, but she told me to shut off the iron. So
Telling you.
I know I
The
shut
swear
it off.
jar. Hey, I owe some money to the swear jar.
Yes, you do. All right, so my piece doesn't have any paper because this is the one that G helped me with. So now you're going to take your tail and you're going to line the bottoms up like this. So, and now you're going to sew your tail on. Now, what you're going to be careful of is this is going to go like this. Okay. You're going to want to make sure you stop at this 1/4 inch before. So I'm going to make a mark or something. Hand me G's pen there, Dave, would you? I'm going to make a mark here just so that runs through here so I know where I'm going to quit, because we need to leave that 1/4 inch opening because we're going to need to inset this piece of fabric. This is where the Y seam is. Okay. So for this all to work out and work out correctly, we're going to line up. We're going to let a 1/4 inch-ish of this little tail here. If you've got your paper on, you'll know where it's supposed to be because you'll have a mark because your paper will be there, right? Mine doesn't because I don't have the paper because my friend G ripped it out. So if you have your paper, you'll know where 1/4 inch is. So I'm gonna guess. All right, so you're gonna line that all up. So your raw edge here is lined up, and you're gonna stitch on this line.
Steph, before you
Yes.
you stitch, the point that is all the background color. Leave a part of it hanging over the edge.
1/4 of an inch.
1/4 of an inch hang over, and then you start sewing on where the solid line is on the piece.
Yes.
Okay. All right. And then you're going to stop 1/4 of an inch before you get to the end.
Yes. So you're going to start off the edge.
Right.
Oh, okay. And then you sew all the way up and you leave 1/4 of an inch.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Now, because I'm 1/4 of an inch in, I'm going to go back 2 stitches on purpose, because I'm going to inset that seam and I don't want that to come out, because I'm going to put a little tension on it. And I don't want to have to fight with it. And now I don't have paper on this side, so I'm going to have some stretch. So I don't want to, I don't want to have to fight with it. So now I've got this like this. So I'm going to press this over. Now this is going to be where the inset seam comes in. This is going to be this background fabric. Okay. Now you can see I've got space here that's not sewn, right?
For the love of God.
And this is going to go in here like this. So now all you're going to do is flop your background piece over on top here. And what you're looking for is down here, you want this point of this solid line, and you can do it with a pin if you can find one. So just for yourself, you can just take this pin, poke it through the point here, and then poke it through the point here, so you can kind of see where it's supposed to be. Okay, so this is where this needs to be lined up at. All right, so that's that. So now you know where everything is supposed to line up. All right, so now you're going to start. You're going to start out here on the edge, and you're going to stitch on that line clear down to that point. You're not going to go over. You're going to back stitch 2 stitches. All right. So we're going to start off the fabric. And then I'm going to go back 2 stitches. Pull my fabric out, trim my thread. Now now you're going to pull this side up. Now this is my fabric, of course, that I don't have any paper to line it up. Yours will. So you're gonna take this and you can just line this up right here. So you should have about 1/4 of an inch hanging over at this end on this back side. I'm gonna flip mine over. I'm gonna start right at that point.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go forward 2 stitches. Backwards 2 stitches and then go all the way to the end. And that's your inset seam.
Wow, that's way better with paper piecing.
So it's not so bad. Inset seams really aren't that hard.
Well,
Now,
yeah, sorry.
having those lines on there makes a huge difference.
Yeah.
But you can mark your lines on if you wanted. It's just making sure you stop at that 1/4 inch. Now, I'm taking my seam allowance out, my paper for my seam allowance. I'm also going to trim off, there's that kind of long, pointy thing from one of the pieces of fabrics was kind of pointy sticking out there. I'm going to take it off because I want to press these seams open here, and getting rid of that ball will help. Now, don't take it out on the things that you're going to have to connect things to. Yeah.
Steph, can you back up to sewing the tail piece itself on?
Can I what?
Back up into the where we sew the tail piece itself on. Can you show where we line that up again?
Okay. So when you are lining up your tail piece of fabric, oops, let me get rid of this. Okay, so when you're lining up your tail piece of fabric, what you're going to want to do, you're going to leave 1/4 of an inch of this point down here at the bottom. It's going to hang over. Now you'll have a line here, you know. My paper was already off, but you'll have a line of paper there, right? And you should have a point down here. Wherever that point is, you want to put that point down on the edge. Okay, does that make sense? So then you're going to sew from that point all the way up the edge of your of that seam.
So if I still have my paper on the tail piece, would I just match up the 2 points from the body and the tail?
You're going to go from here.
Yes.
And you're going to go up to here. You're going to
right.
Stop here because this piece gets inset.
But the part where
stop 1/4 of an inch before you get to the top here.
Okay, but in the beginning where you have the 1/4 of an inch piece hanging off.
Yes.
Is that where if I have my papers still on, I just match up the points on the papers?
You're going to match up the points. No, that's not where you match up the points on the papers because there's not a point on the back piece. But you should be able to put the point on the back piece, on the tail piece, down on the corner. It should go right down to the bottom.
Wouldn't there be a line, solid line here?
I think there's a.
And you
Yeah,
line.
I think there's a point. I think, Krista, I think you can match the points. I think that's like at both ends.
I'm trying to find G's papers.
Yeah. Yeah, there's like just, it's where the point of the triangle ends.
Okay, thank you.
Does it make sense?
Here, I found G's paper.
Yeah, so there's a point.
You line the solid line up with the edge of the other piece.
Yeah. And you can just, you can put a pin in your points, inside your inside seam points.
So your seam allowance.
Thank you.
Yes. So, yes, so your seam allowance hangs over. I had to find G's pieces. My pieces was long down. Okay, so this is that. So now we have our tail on, the bird body on, and we've inset this seam here. So now we've got the beak. Okay. At this point, I'm going to go ahead and take my ruler and I'm going to trim up this. So I've got this little point down here. I'm going to trim off any of these extra little points. You want to go ahead and trim them off out of your way. So this is not a big deal. It's just a little trim up.
If you can find your ruler.
Oh, your piece. Dave, I already took the paper out of the seam allowance.
Just saying, I don't know the rules.
Dave knows the rules. Dave knows the
The
rules.
rules are, don't touch it. Don't touch it. Don't touch it. Be careful. Don't touch it.
Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and add the beak. And it's just going to line up even with the bottom. All right. And we're going to stitch that on.
He could if you just pulled in.
Oh, okay.
I think it's here. I'm not sure. It's the white part.
Yeah, she said 2 o'clock, 2-ish.
It's after 2.
Okay.
Oh, sugar. Oh, I think I changed my stitch somewhere along the line. I touched something. I just had a really nice zigzag happening. Okay. Now I've got my
Almost not
my beak.
there.
See how much less you have on there? There's not that much black, really.
She's gonna come through the garage, babe.
And now we're going to add the crest. So now the crest is going to go on.
See?
And now as we're adding the crest, we're going to line up with the back of the bird. So we're going to line it up on the back side.
Cut this and then I'll be ready.
You guys look busy today.
Well, I found an online place that teaches you how to quilt.
Oh, that's cool.
Or do some quilting. Oh, no.
Carol, you need to turn your microphone off.
Thank you.
I think I can figure it out. Yeah, I can do it today. Huh?
So now we're going to stitch this in.
Pretty close to being done. I mean, dinner will be before 6:30.
Make sure you, that red press piece goes the right way. I just sewed mine the wrong way.
Okay, now I just bumped that thing. It was like we had an earthquake here. All right, so now I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna pull the seam allowance paper out again. Because we're gonna do the corner piece next. And so we want to get that bulk out of there. All right. So now we're going to do the next piece. So this is our, now we've got our little crest on a bird. This is our corner piece here. So this goes on like this.
No.
So what you're going to do is your corner, this corner here is going to be on the edge of the block. And then same thing up here. This corner here is going to be, you're going to have that 1/4 inch hangover. You know what I'm saying? You're going to get those little ears, those little hanging over ears, hanging over. So that when this flips up, that 1/4 inch is flipped, you're going to get it, it's going to line up the way it's supposed to. When this is folded up, it'll line up. So it comes straight up like that. So,
yeah.
I bent my fabric. So now line that up. You can pin if you want. I'm not a pinner.
Well, let's see.
Did you just say I'll say? Hey, pity.
One of your students.
I know. I can't help it. There you go. So since we're right here, I'm going to go ahead. I've got these tails sticking out. I'm going to go ahead and trim those off since we don't need them for anything. I'm going to go ahead and cut those off. And we can fold that up. And so this comes out looking quite nice. Let me trim my. So it looks good. All right, now.
Steph, do your 2 black pieces meet and line up, or is part of it under the seam allowance?
Yeah, part of it's under the seam allowance. It actually forms almost like a little tiny triangle, a weird shaped triangle down here on the bottom, and then another weird shaped triangle up here at the top.
But they don't actually touch each other once.
Nope.
Good, because I was getting ready to have to unpick mine.
Oh, mine is like, I mean, my bottom one you can barely see.
Yeah, the bottom one's tiny, real tiny.
Good, thank you very much. Because I was going to have to do some serious frogging.
No, don't tear it out. But you can see, I mean, even the beak, you know, you lose a lot. It shrinks up a lot. when you're doing the thing. Now, this piece here is the piece that goes on top. It's your extra, you know, the little part here that goes up at the top. Mine needs trimmed up yet. And then I have this piece here that goes on to the bottom again. So this is your little feet. And it should be the correct width now. Look at that. Imagine that.
Perfect.
So it works out perfect. So now all you're going to do is flip this up and stitch a 1/4 inch seam. So you're just lining it up along the edge here. Now keep in mind, you should have all your paper except for some seam allowances should be gone. But other than that, all your paper is going to be in there yet. And because we're using this teeny tiny little stitch, you're not going to have trouble trying to get your papers out at the end. Now I'm stitching this across here now. All those, this is touching all those places where we stitch over into the seam allowance and stuff. This is catching all those areas. So we don't have that, we don't have to worry about stitches coming out and so on and so forth. This is catching all of that area. Now, I would suggest you leave all your paper on and the seam allowances that are going to come on the outside edges of your block until you sew it into your project and are finished with it. Because it's just going to prevent stretching and all that stuff, which can be, you know, as well as me, a big pain in your tushy. But you should then be able to just take a seam ripper and poke it, and even the pieces that were glued ought to just pop right out. Real easy. Shouldn't be any problem at all getting all the paper out because you use that real tiny little stitch. It all no problem at all. So this is the last piece that I have, which is the background piece that goes on the top. So I'm just going to trim it up and stitch it on. And then you guys will need to build 2 more blocks to make the runner, or 4 more blocks, or 3 more blocks if you want to make a 4-piece wall hanging, or where'd mine go?
You lost it earlier. We had the discussion about you're not supposed to be cutting paper.
Yeah, well, I was okay on the last one, but this one really is cutting
Yeah, no,
paper. I am blatantly breaking the rules.
I hope she doesn't watch it to the end.
After we do the Y seam piece, what's the next piece that gets sewn on?
The next piece after the Y seam is you're gonna sew this piece here
with the
across
crest,
the top with the little crest, and then you're gonna sew the beak.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome. I'm using my partner in crime's tools for things they're not intended for. And she will give me heck.
I want to put a plug in for that lovely stiletto seam ripper that I bought. That is a really nice sharp blade for dealing with tiny stitches.
What was it, pink or red?
The red one, yeah. but the blade is really nice and sharp. So it just ripped through just for the 1 or 2 or 10 mistakes I made today.
You didn't sew your bird together sideways though. Like I
No,
did.
but I'm actually working on like the 3 colors. Like I've got 3 different fabrics for my 3 different birds, and I sewed like mixed up the fabrics. So
Well, that was just a variation in the feathers.
they're like the brothers, but different colored hair or something, right? Yeah. Like this.
Oh, that's beautiful. Good job.
I did mine in 3 colors too.
Yeah. So.
Nice, Susan. Looks great.
So my bottom piece ended up shorter, so my block is gonna be a little narrower for some reason. I ended up in a 1/4 inch shorter for my bottom. But that could have been a printer issue too.
No, mine came up a 1/4 inch short too.
You were? Okay.
Yeah, mine with the feet is a 1/4 inch shorter than the rest of, than
Like
the.
that? Okay, that one there? Yep. Okay, same thing. Oh, look,
Yep.
let me see your background. Let me see. Oh, how fun.
Only thing I don't like is I can't see his beak real well. It's the same color as the flowers.
You could take, you know what, when you go to quilt it, you could just do like a really dark gold, like a darker outline stitch around his beak.
Yeah, that's what I'm gonna have to do because you can't really see it. It blends
Yeah.
right in with the flowers.
Pretty.
Well, you know what? He's just in there looking for something. That's all. He's in the flower looking for something.
Well, here's mine from today.
Good job.
That looks nice.
Very nice. Okay.
Very nice.
Great.
So
This
they're
is-
all,
this is
I
great.
have
With-
all 4 of mine are different.
Here's mine from today.
Oh, that's pretty.
Just
It's getting there.
2 pieces.
A big hawk came by and took his head off, right?
I know, mine was attacked.
By
Okay.
Jack the Ripper, right?
Yeah.
He might be my go on the back.
When you get these done, now you've got 2 weeks, you've got till November 8th before we do the second part of the class. Like I said, that part of the class, we're gonna actually design the quilting for them. So you'll have plenty of time to get them done and ask questions. If you've got questions, you know, we'll be on doing demos and there'll be classes between now and then. So, you know, we'll be around.
So the stitching bit should be a good time too.
Yeah,
Be a really good time.
So we'll be around to do those things. So if need be, you know, you can ask questions then. And you've got time, so don't worry. What else was I gonna say, Dave? Do you remember?
Yeah. Yeah.
Don't tell G that I used her rotary cutter for something I wasn't supposed to.
Stephanie,
Yes.
can you hold your block from today up so that we can see if, okay, because your bottom background is the same length as your branch. Mine's not, well, mine's the same length as my branch, but it's not the same width as the piece above it. And I know I'm not the only one that had it come out that they were, it's like a quarter of an inch short.
I don't know.
What did we do wrong?
Was mine was like that too, Steph.
Well, I don't know. I just printed mine off this morning.
Yeah. So
see,
yeah.
Steph, look here. See where mine's like a quarter of an inch too short here.
And mine too, Steph. So I don't know, so maybe it's something where when we put our seams, when we assembled the previous block, maybe our seams were a little off in there, maybe.
I don't know.
I don't know, because let me see, what's the top one?
Mine's okay. So maybe it was this.
Fringing. It must, you know what? It must be RC. It must be where we did, where we assembled, because my top piece matches my bottom piece. So he's kind of got a bulge in the middle.
It's probably something to do with the tail piece, because my tail piece actually sticks out 1/4 of an inch further on the top and the bottom than those pieces. So I apparently didn't get my tail piece far enough towards the feet.
Pat, can you, fold yours, fold it from the bottom up to the top. And does your top piece match the same width as your bottom piece?
Yes,
Well,
ma'am.
did you measure them?
So our problem, it's our problem is in the construction in here. So Pat, when you can do the same as I'm going to do. We're just going to trim that right off. We're going to line that far, so it's not going to be a problem.
Yeah, no, but I think what it is when we put our tail piece on, we didn't put the point far enough down.
Could be, yeah. Yeah.
That's the piece. I mean, you can see right here. That's the piece that's sticking up about 1/4 of an inch on both sides. Everything else is lining up nice. It's just right there.
Interesting.
So it has to be that quarter. It's got to be that tail feather.
Does your top and bottom measure 9.5 inches?
Yeah, we do. So yes, and like mine joins up fine here. It's here. So I'm saying it's probably something we've done in here.
Those tails right off.
That's what I'm gonna do.
Yep.
Just whack them off.
Like Marie's whacked the head off hers. I can whack the tail off mine.
There you go.
Mine was a mutant.
Whatever it takes.
Yeah.
That's right.
That was, anyway, it was a great, I gotta run. It was a great afternoon.
It was. You did a great job, Stephanie.
It's a really hard thing. It's a really hard thing to teach without being like right over your shoulder. It really is.
But okay, ladies, so we will see you all tomorrow.
All right.
All right, Stephanie.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. I'll be looking forward to the
Thanks.
Thanks.
Bye, everyone. Okay, great.